This Oh my goodness. Hey, babes. Hi, how are ya? It's gonna be a stream day. It's certainly a stream day. How is everyone? Oh gosh, there's lots of folks here. Everybody ready to talk about the increasing insanity of J.K. Rowling? Yas, queen. Let's go. But for a little while, we're just gonna kind of chill. We're just gonna vibe for a little bit. That's what we do at the beginning of my streams. So hit the like button if you're here to just vibe for a little bit before we get into the serious news. Well, I mean, sometimes we talk about serious topics during the first hour, but the conversation is, it's not like I'm sitting here going, this is a segment, I'm gonna record it for my channel. Just chill, just vibes. Just people being people, okay? And if you don't want to hang out for that, hit like before you leave. Thanks, babes. Oh gosh, well, it is Wednesday, my dudes. Welcome a couple people. It's your first stream today. I saw Irene in the YouTube chat. What's up? Welcome in. Shakespeare on the website chat. Hello. Any of you over on the YouTube who are not aware, this chat over here is my website. It's not Twitch. Hit the top link in the description to come over to luxander.net/live. Jason says, I'm feeling amazing-ish today. That's good. I think I was a little bit hungover. I don't usually drink wine, but I made shrimp scampi last night with some shrimp that I bought a while ago. And because that calls for white wine, but I don't like keep white wine around the house. So I got some white wine and then I drank the remaining small amount that I purchased. And a small amount of wine is enough to make this almost 30-year-old a little bit hungover. So I mostly spent my day chilling out today. I worked yesterday and the day before. So, you know, life's just lifing on. Yeah, waste not, want not. Listen. It's like I'm not going to make shrimp scampi that often. It only calls for a half cup of white wine for the shrimp scampi. So, anyway, seriously, welcome in. Thank you everybody for being here. What's up, Asuka? There's Yoga Dad. Hello. White wine always gives me a headache. Yeah, I definitely, even early this morning when I woke up and it was I don't know, 5 in the morning, I had a headache. I was like, Jesus Christ, my dude. I like white wine better in cooking than for drinking. I generally like red wine, I prefer, but I don't really drink wine anymore. Just, it's not my thing anymore. Yo, there's 49 viewers and 22 likes. Can we pump up those numbers? Pretty please. Hearts? Thank you so much. Gotta make sure to stay hydrated, kids. So today's topics, besides J.K. Rowling, we're also going to talk about, because Aaron Bushnell did his protest in the way that he did, there are people bringing attention now to some other acts of protest that are similar that didn't get as much media attention. So we're going to cover that a little bit. And J.K. Rowling news. Florida has now, I think they just passed a state ban on any laws being passed that would give workers protections with regards to being provided with water or shade during really hot temperatures. So if a city in Florida decided that they wanted to give those protections to the workers, the state law says literally, no, you're not allowed to make a local law about that. Which I think is also, I think that happened in Kansas with a minimum wage thing. It was don't quote me on this, but I think that it was basically this similar type of thing, and the result of which it was you cannot set a higher minimum wage than the Kansas state minimum wage in a city in Kansas because, state law supersedes municipal law. And then also, if you wanted to pass anti-discrimination protections within your city, that were beyond the state protections. I think that was also not allowed, but it might have been changed since then. It was a long time ago. But yeah, anyway, so I want to use that as a jumping off point to kind of talk about OSHA and the fact that OSHA doesn't actually have any strict protections with regards to temperature. It's relevant because, also you think about the whole UPS union strike thing that almost happened or did happen. I don't remember. Did they strike or did they not end up having to because they struck a deal? They ended up striking a deal. But why is it that they needed to bargain in their deal for air conditioning in the vehicles when driving around in a hot, baking van in the summer with no air conditioning is like very, very dangerous? It's like OSHA is not really on it with some of these things. You are kind of reliant on these type of organizations to provide worker protections, and they just kind of aren't. And that seeps over into the COVID thing as well. Like, why aren't there OSHA requirements coming out requiring workplaces to start providing adequate ventilation, or to consider like making workplaces cover adequate PPE for people's masks? Like, why aren't the employers required to provide the materials that are required to make your job safe? So anyway, that's a whole conversation, and I get really fucking butthurt about... I am trained as an electrician, by the way. You might not guess that by how femme I am fucking serving today, but I went to college to learn to be an electrician, and then I worked as an electrician for like a year and a half, 2 years. I can't physically do it anymore. I am disabled. But yeah, so that's why I think about those workplace health safety things, I think, more than the average person, because I've, and like not when I was an electrician, but in other jobs where safety has been a big priority, they do, like in practice, expect you to cut corners and like not be safe. So it's real dumb. I do look quite femme today. Yeah, I mean, it's like the hair. I styled my hair on Monday, and then I have put it up and brought it down and slept on it for the last 2 days, and now it looks crazy because it still has gel in it. So, yeah. And I think I have one other story. I can't remember what it is right this second. South America, take it away. Get it out of here. Okay. Where's my chat? Come back, chat. Okay, cool. I do want to find out what is the other thing that I planned on talking about today. 34 likes. I want to get to, can we get to 50 today? That would be a good goal. Oh God, of course, the Supreme Court. We got to talk about the Supreme Court because they just, I knew that they were going to find a way to do this, but they greenlit Trump to be on the ballot. They were basically like, not only did they say states don't have the right to say whether someone can be on the presidential ballot, I think basically was the 9-0 ruling. Unanimous ruling was that states can't follow the guidance of the 14th Amendment to prevent an insurrectionist from being on the ballot. And then I think they actually took it a step further and like gave additional protection in a way with regards to Trump running in the future. And that was not a unanimous decision, but the majority conservative court doing the things that it's doing. And of course, Clarence Thomas not recusing himself despite the fact that his wife participated in the insurrection. So those are the segments that we have to talk about today. Yeah, Florida's great. We love to see it. It's insane. I never expected that I would be talking about Florida this much. Like, so much more than I normally would anticipate. So I don't. Uh, could we sell Florida? I don't know, man. Anyway, what's some fun stuff that we can talk about at the beginning of the show that isn't so much of a bummer? What are some good things? I have been watching The Good Place, and I think it's gonna be, I don't know. I don't know if it's complex enough to be one of my new comfort shows. It's got some real good stuff in it, but I don't know if it's like if there's enough for me to pick apart for it to be one of my repeat shows. Apparently, Russia is posturing aggressively at Germany because Germany is floating, bringing actual troops to Ukraine. Hmm. Ooh, Trump melting down during a speech? I didn't see that. What happened? Agnes, no, you're not that late at all. We just started about 15 minutes ago. Oh no, computer. Silence yourself. I don't need updates in Creative Cloud right now. I'm clearly busy. Good grief. I heard The Good Place is one of those shows that is good all the way through. It is. I really don't feel like there are very many slow patches of it. It's just The Good Place is a one and done show for me, but I enjoyed it. It's good, good, good. I need I I just need to add shows to my rotation of repeat shows, but I'm such a stickler about watching new things. I'm quite resistant to it. Just give me season 2 of House of the Dragon so I can watch that over and over again. That would be satisfying. I would take that. We're so close to 50 likes. Oh my god. On the YouTube page, hit like, and then on the top link in the description, come to the website chat where we have custom emojis. Dude, BoJack Horseman is one of my repeat shows. There's been a resurgence of love for the original Atla after the live action flopped. Well, that's good, because I did not hear great things about the live action. My friend Chariot, who I need to share several of her videos on the community tab because she is awesome. And I did some voiceover in one of her videos that she published not too long ago. So that's fun. She used my voiceover to open the video. And upon listening to it, I was like, I could have done that differently, as usual. But yeah, it was nice of her to ask me. And I haven't watched that video because it's about like Dark Souls or something, and I don't really get Dark Souls. But she posted a video about some of the failings of the new Avatar: The Last Airbender show. And yeah, it was basically like, I think, what did she title it? Something like, I'm sorry this is so long, and it could have been longer, like, and I could have kept going. Oh, YouTube eats the links. I can't, it just automatically deletes any links in the chat, I think now, even though I told it to allow it. Thank you, Irene. Yeah, adding to the list of people who listen to me on their phone while they're falling asleep. Is an interesting thing. Transivity, welcome to the website. I got denied a job opportunity for being trans, even though it's illegal to do that. I'm too poor to afford a lawyer. Well, so some lawyers, so I would say if you live anywhere near a college that has a legal department, you can call them and see what kind of pro bono student services they have, or like if they could refer you. Some types of lawyers will only charge you after they win the case, depending on like how solid your case is. But you can usually consult for a nominal fee or for free. Some places will consult for free. So I would say just because you can't afford a lawyer outright doesn't mean that you can't afford, the chunk of money that the lawyer would take out of your settlement once you get it. I don't know. might be worth at least calling around and talking to some people over, but I am sorry to hear that for sure. It's BS. And like, it's really hard to prove a lot of the time that you were fired or not hired for a specific reason, because they can just be, workplaces can do things like change the schedule on you short term, like on short notice, and then penalize you for not coming in. And then if that happens a couple times in a row, they can just be like, oh well, this person's been missing shifts or they've been coming in late, even though we've been yanking them around still. Flora, welcome to the website. There are so many new people today. I'm loving this. Thank you for joining us. Cozy time indeed. There's also the fired without cause. Yeah, in right to work states, there's like you can either party can terminate the employment contract for any reason. So, I mean, I think that the only way that you get protection from that is in a union, but even then, like, unions tend to be pretty undercut in right to work states. What's up, Emily? So new, never been here before. Well, with that white name, I wouldn't be able to guess. No, I'm just kidding. Being manipulated into bad work behavior is the worst. It's horrid corporate gaslighting. Yeah. Like, the example that I always give is being told when you are hired, hey, safety is number one. We always have to do everything in a very specific way because this is the safety thing. And then in practice, when you actually get into the job, they'll be like, well, you're doing things too slow. And it's like, well, but like, the safety protocol takes time. So if I'm doing something repeatedly and each time it requires me to do a safety protocol, then it takes too long according to your preferences. So, like, either give me more time, give me less work. Like, those are the only two options. But what they actually do is the secret third option, which is just pressure you to stop doing the safety thing. But then if you get hurt as a result, or anything happens as a result, they'll be like, well, this employee was not doing it correctly according to our practices. And it's like, motherfucker. Yeah, they want you to be safe in theory or on paper, but not in practice. It's really irritating. Did I do something different with my hair today? I have been trying to encourage my hair to do its natural curl thing. So on Monday, I did the curl thing that I do in the morning after my shower. And then I put my hair up and I slept on it. And then I wore it yesterday mostly up. And then last night I also wore it up. And then this is what it looks like on the third day. I am gonna wash it tomorrow. So, health and safety codes are the typical things they use to fire people whenever they want to get rid of someone but can't find a reason to fire them. Yeah. It looks like you changed conditioner. I actually feel like I do need to change conditioner because it is really not very shiny and soft like lately. I don't know what the deal is. Transivity says, I have a screenshot of the text where they specifically said they, quote, don't want transgender or other LGBT working for their business. Oh, yeah, no worries. That's rough. That's pretty clear evidence. If you live in a state or even in a city that has municipal protections, like for workplace or housing or anything, like, yeah, they messed up putting that in writing. What's up, Clara Null? Welcome in. Do conversations about safety issues always in writing, never just in conversation, so that you guys have evidence? Follow phone calls up with emails. True. Yeah. If you should do it in writing, but if they have a verbal conversation with you, like if one of your superiors says, like, to do something in an unsafe manner, you should then text them or email them, like, later, like, hey, I just want to confirm some of the details of what we talked about today. You said this to me, just touching base or whatever. Like, so then you have a record, even though it's you saying what happened, they then is, you know, if they don't respond, then your word will stand as evidence that that happened at that time. Or they have to then say, no, I didn't say that. You know, we expect you to do this differently. You know, it definitely puts them in a bad position. Groundbreaking study? What's this study? Oh, yeah, I saw this posted. I wasn't sure if I was going to cover this today. Australia. I mean, that's pretty good news, I guess. Maybe we will cover it. I'll keep it in mind, at least. I don't need some of these tabs open anymore. Let me get rid of some of these tabs. But someone suggested something about... I love the annoyance and how you said Australia. Well, it's partially because I was like, I don't know if this is going to be really relevant to a lot of our discussions. But I guess it's good to point out that, you know, the conversation about trans issues is happening globally and the existence of trans people is global. But yeah, it's like, I know that there's some crazy bullshit going on right now in Thailand with regards to trans people, but I'm not gonna go look into it because frankly, there is too much shit happening. I just, you know, I talk about America, we talk about Canada sometimes, we talk about the UK. I think occasionally, you know, we talk about things happening in other European countries, but not very often. We've talked about Japan on my show. We've talked about Africa on my show. And now Australia, getting roped into it. Alexandria points out also if you write down what happened, that can be admissible as a diary/journal entry. I think that's kind of the same principle as sending the person an email or text confirming the events and putting it in writing. What happened in Australia? Oh, they did a study on trans youth and found like that very few people detransition. Australia is at least as relevant as UK is to USA politics, at least for trans stuff. Not as much as Canada, though. Yeah, I mean it's the global English speaking world, and if these, you know, conservatives are gonna pull out, oh well, in Finland and Norway or whatever, they're deciding to limit trans rights now or trans youth access to care now, and it's like, okay, sure, Europe in general is seeing kind of a backslide into a more transmedicalist, restricted access to transition kind of process. But look, you know, trans youth in Australia, by and large, do not detransition. Wowee. So yeah, maybe we'll go ahead and add that to the news today. Bring back my tabs, motherfucker. Oh, Twitter's been fun the last couple days. I don't know if any of you are even on Twitter anymore. Like, why would you be, I guess? Like, why am I either? But, you know, shit that happens in the US first comes eventually to the UK. I think it kind of goes both directions. We influence each other because I think that the political opposition to trans existence kind of, the radicalization of it, I think that sort of started in the UK. And like, I don't know, like United States version of it is a little bit different. You could say that they are the like different things that sort of evolved at the same time, but I do think just in the timeline of events, whether you want to say that one influenced the other or not, the like political opposition to trans people the last few years has really amped up in the UK. And then the US kind of like lagged behind a couple years. It was Tim Curry who secretly transed an entire generation. I don't disagree with that. I haven't watched Rocky Horror Picture Show in a long time. I should make my younger sibs watch it. I should make my sib watch it. That would be funny. I was super into Rocky Horror Picture Show when I was a little kid. Like, I don't know if you want to say it was appropriate or not. My parents were teenagers, so they didn't really make smart choices, but I loved Rocky Horror Picture Show. I would tell my mom, I want to watch the one with the lady. And by the lady, I was referring to Tim Curry's Dr. Frankenfurter. Hey, we got to 57 likes. That's nice. The next goal is 69. That would be even nicer. Amazing. So glad I was banned from Twitter before the Musk takeover. I don't know, I clearly get some kind of brain reward chemical from being on Twitter. As annoying as it is. If you hit the top link in the description, it should bring you to the chat of the website. Hypothetically. Or, it's like luxander.net/chat/static or something like that. Cara May, just subscribed. Love your take on things. Thank you. Subscribe on the YouTube page, everybody, if you are not already. And you know what? Share. I don't ever ask for that. I ask for likes, and I do appreciate them. Share the stream today. Let's see what happens if you do that. It definitely reflects positively on the show. Just like share it on Twitter. I don't care if you only have 2 followers. Doesn't matter. Do you prefer chatting on YouTube or in the website? I think technically speaking, as the channel grows, YouTube chat will become the redheaded stepchild that I ignore. Excuse me, but for now, you're both right next to each other. Like, this one's YouTube chat, and this one's my website chat. You're both right there. I refuse to click the bell unless I am interested in actively joining streams. I don't need to know the moment a new video happens. Yeah, you can hit the, like, personalize bell notifications, and then it will just pick and choose which ones it thinks you want to see. But otherwise, yeah, the only other option is all. Why can't you choose, I want to be notified for all lives, or I want to be notified for every video, or I want to be notified for every short? I don't know. They could get more specific with it, but that's just how it is for now. We'll see. When I was on Twitter being harassed by a TERF, she was basically like a British high chick. Anyway, I called her a nonce, got permabanned for calling her one, and then her following mass reported me. Lo and behold, a few months later, she went to prison for having CP. And yet I'm still banned for speaking the truth. Like Cassandra, you've been ignored and punished for speaking true prophecy. Cringe. Deeply cringe. Thank you everybody for joining once again. Just want to say I love doing this show, and like the fact that I can just sit here and kind of bullshit for an hour before I start talking about my political content is an absolute blessing. So just thank you for being here, like, first of all. And then of course if you're doing any of the liking and subscribing, that's just going above and beyond. Cool, Organis. I used to be the same, where I pretty much only was on my subscriptions box on YouTube. Nowadays, that is not the case. I am like a homepage scroller for sure. Decoy Duck, thank you for the tier 1 sub. I appreciate it today. You all, listen, there is a surprise under my hoodie today. There is a major surprise under my hoodie today. If we get to $100, it's also my birthday month, if that incentivizes you at all to donate to me. Thank you all so much for the donos, as usual. And yeah, Decoy Duck, thank you. Let me add that to the Daily Bopper over here. Number go up, burr. Bar go up. Just a little, like, neep, neep, neep. Is it a kitty cat? No. I can procure a kitty cat, technically speaking. I'm not sure where he's at right now. but you can see him. New merch? It's not new merch. It's not. I do need to buy myself. You know what? I'm gonna tweak some of the designs, and then I'm gonna order myself the hoodie that I've been meaning to order myself for a really long time. I need to tweak the designs. March birthday, gang. March birthday. Just watching Tim Curry run from room to room is a classic. It's a good movie, okay? It's a good romp. It's an enjoyable time. I need to watch other queer classics though. I have like an older gay friend who sometimes when I see him he'll recommend a movie and then I forget what they're called later. Like there are some foundational queer films that apparently I need to watch. Did I get a new tattoo? I did not get a new tattoo. That is not what happened. I would love to get a new tattoo. Trust. I actually am kind of wondering if that should be one of the things I do for myself for my birthday, because I've really been hankering for a new tattoo for a long time. It's been like 3 years since I got my last one. Like this one on my chest, I got, I think it was 3 years ago. Yeah, so it's been a while. Have I watched The Birdcage? No. The Birdcage is recommended by several chatters. Okay. Rent is supposed to be a good queer movie. I don't know. Rent. Kelsey says, I got my first tattoo last month and I'm already addicted. I want to get my whole body covered. Nice. Yeah. I'm really starting to get that urge to have like really cool, big shaded art pieces. Because right now I mostly just have stark black lines art. Like one of them is art. The other ones are kind of just like words or dots. Like they're not really artistically complex at the time. So the tattoo that I want to get next, listen, you can, if you want to help this happen, you can donate, right? I want to get, I have several ideas floating around, but the one concrete idea that I'm pretty 100% sure that I want to do is, y'all know Full Metal Alchemist? Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. First of all, 69 likes. Nice, we did it. Blech. But Full Metal Alchemist and the different homunculus, they have like the tattoo in a different place. Like gluttony's on his tongue, lusts is on her titties. Envy, who I think is pretty clearly a gender fuckery person. And I got shouted out on a COVID aware writer's blog. Oh, that's so cool. Is that where you came from, Anarcho Delphus? What was the blog? Because that makes me feel good. Ooh, link, thank you. Yeah, so I want to get the homunculus tattoo where Envy has theirs, which is on their left thigh. I kind of feel like it's a pretty sexy tattoo in a fun little location. I think I would probably end up getting mine a little bit higher up on my leg than Envy's actually is on their body, probably. But yeah. Yeah, my trans mask friend also thinks Envy is a gender fucker. Yeah. I think Envy reads as super non-binary. It always has to me. I'm so into it. Let's be real, they're envious of features from both genders that they don't possess because they are a slug boy. True. Envy looks just like my NBX, who I still secretly love. They moved away, people said. People said. I like where Lust has it, but my low pain tolerance won't allow it. I don't think I want a tattoo on top of my boobs, but like I do think tattoo on the rib cage underneath, like following the shape of the under boob would be cool. I just haven't decided what that tattoo is going to be yet. Anyway, but yes, it probably is going to hurt for sure. So this is Crow Girl's Cave, Crow Girl's Sky Cave, a guide to internet-aware internet. Oh my god, I can't fucking read today. A guide to COVID-aware internet shows that aren't all about COVID. Yeah, podcasts, Blueprints of Disruption. Understanding that the COVID pandemic is currently ongoing, even though most of their episodes aren't about COVID. So this is cool. I like this a lot because what this is a resource for, okay, you want to watch stuff that is like not about COVID, but is within a context of being COVID aware. That's very, very cool. That's super cool. I like this concept. Hey, Luxander was recommended to me by Ms. Opossum. Luxander is non-binary, using it/its pronouns. Its videos are excellent, and they are often about transgender rights and other social justice matters, such as Free Palestine and workers' rights. It's also done a couple of great videos about COVID injustice. Ayy! Ayy! That's really cool. I appreciate that. And a reciprocal shout out to you, Crow Girl. The link is in the chat there. Let me put another link in the YouTube chat as well. There you go. Hey, that's cool. Appreciate you recommending the channel. It's good stuff. I'm getting a new tat of the F slur on my top left titty. Nice. Nice. I remember loving Envy as a closeted high schooler. It broke my heart that they didn't find love as a worm. I know. So sad. But I mean, it's intrinsic to their nature. They can't help it. COVID aware people be sticking together. It's true. We gotta keep things moving. Oh gosh. I'm kind of worried because with some family is gonna be visiting later this month. And I'm like, we are gonna be expected to see people, but I don't think that our family members still take COVID seriously. So I'm like, am I about to have to like negotiate with older family members about like, hey, will you take a test before we hang out? If you have literally any symptoms, I am not going to hang out with you unless it's outside and I get to wear a mask. Like, and you should please wear a mask too. I have some N95s, please take one. So yeah, it's so weird, but at least it's only like one or two people. I don't think I'm being expected to like go to a restaurant or anything because I definitely wouldn't do that anyway. But if it's only like one person who I'm not sure if their risk assessment is the same as mine, then it's like not the end of the world. It's a risk, but it's definitely not a huge risk. Yeah, and the newer variants are not showing up on the rapid tests as much. Of like I think it's like, I just read stats that were showing that approximately 40 to 50% of COVID spread is through asymptomatic spread. It's like, yeah. And then, of course, 24% of COVID cases are asymptomatic. I was stuck and confused about Envy. Something about their gender presentation really drew me in, and I liked it. But killing off one of my fave characters in FMA tore my beating organ to bits. Yeah, I just, shout out to all those characters that all of us non-binary people, like, thought were just really neat. Like Marge Simpson. I just think they're neat. These gender weird characters. Is COVID getting bad against stateside? I think technically speaking, it's getting, I don't know. Hold on. COVID wastewater. Let's look at the Centers for Disease Control wastewater data to see what it's doing. Yeah, so we're coming down off the peak that we were in, I believe. But it's like, still not great. And the data is a couple weeks behind. Like, the data is almost always a couple weeks behind. So let's just look at the last 6 months. So for the last 6 months, COVID was like steady. And like, by the way, just because it's like it's lower here than it is here doesn't mean that this isn't still horrifically bad and you should not be scared and appropriately masking. This means that you should be like terrified and not leaving your house. That's what this peak means. But down here is like, I should still be taking this very seriously and wearing a respirator everywhere I go. So we're dropping back down, except in the South. That's what this purple line is. Apparently in the US South, numbers did not really drop the way that we are seeing everywhere else in the country. So we're kind of returning to nominal numbers before this peak. But again, that's still scary. Anyway, they're pooping the COVID. Yeah, babes. Like, okay, so here's the thing is that COVID. So here's the thing why it's so dangerous. You think of it as a cold, you think of it as a respiratory virus, right? Because you get respiratory symptoms in the acute phase of the illness. That's only the first phase of the illness, right? And then there's more phases of the illness after that because viruses stay in your body basically forever. Like that's why you can continue to get cold sores throughout your life. But COVID is not just a respiratory virus. Like most of the time, a flu infects your cells in your lungs and uses those cells specifically to make more of itself. COVID doesn't stop there. COVID can use all of your body's cells to reproduce. It invades your cells and it uses your cells as resources to make more of itself until your cell explodes. And then it's like pops more COVID into the surrounding area. That's how viruses work. So COVID can damage every cell in your body. That's why there's like a neurological damage impact. And you poop it out because it's in your entire body. Like, it's everywhere in your body. The peak of COVID shedding and poop occurs roughly concurrently with peak respiratory shedding. Yeah, so that's like a correlation. That's why the wastewater, I think, is so good to look at, is because it shows like the high wastewater levels are going to correlate with high respiratory contagion levels. I've been battling the brain damage part. I am so sorry to hear that. It sounds so tough. Like, I definitely have noticed some like semi-permanent effects from my COVID infections. I didn't ever test positive, but I got sick at the time that people were sick. So I'm pretty sure that I've had it at least like 2 or 3 times. And yeah, it's crazy. Oh man, my eyeball. Yeah, Anna says COVID only affected my brain. It did not give me any respiratory symptoms. There are so many newbies in the chat today. Holy cow. One great thing that you can do, if someone has, like, if you've gotten your tax return, or if you're anticipating getting your tax return, all these newbies in chat have white names. And if someone would gift them a subscription, they could get a name with a fun color, and it would give you access to the special emojis. Special emojis. Can we get some dicks in chat, please? Is there any way to tell if you have long-term effects? I mean, you basically would notice, I think, if your health was different. Like, do you find it suddenly more difficult to handle stairs? Are you finding that your, like, your heart rate is much higher than it used to be? Or, like, when you stand up, your heart rate gets really, really high and it didn't used to do that? Do you feel like you can't regulate your body temperature very well anymore and you used to be able to? Do you have a persistent cough? Like, do you have any brain fog? There are going to be noticeable differences in your functioning if you have some kind of effect from long COVID. That's the thing about it. I basically got POTS from my infection. It's better with medication, but it was scary for a bit. Yeah, I am not on medication for my POTS. I was, I think, born with mine, but I'm not sure that it didn't get worse after a COVID infection. So, yeah. POTS is no joke. It is my primary disability. It is tough to deal with. It's like I get random chest pain, and that's concerning, even though I know that it's probably just my POTS. 75 likes. Look at that. Oh my god, I just like got so fucked by reading something in the chat, and I just was like unable to process anything for a second. Thanks for the dicks in chat. My lungs are shit and my ADHD is so severe that I've been worried it may be dementia. Thankfully, I've never had COVID and I'm immunized. It's got a good shot of killing me. Thankfully, I've never had it that I know of. Yeah, I mean, you can't guarantee that you haven't had it. I feel like at this point, everyone must have had it at least once, unless you live in a remote place like in one of those indigenous villages that we don't fuck with. Gotta call Walgreens to see if I can get my booster. Yeah, I got my booster. Like, I got my most recent one in December, I think. November, December. Does COVID have contact like C. diff and salmonella as well as airborne? A little bit, I think. Like, not as much. But, like, I think the main problem with any kind of respiratory spread is that, like, it hangs in the air for a lot longer than you think it will. Appreciate the rush of emojis in the chat very much. It's good we don't have Opiocordyceps unilateralis fungus like on The Last of Us. Fungal infections are becoming more prevalent though, as an interesting point of fact. Like, because people's immune systems are not as good, there's like more susceptibility, and also like there's the continued evolutionary pressure for fungal like infections to be more and more heat resistant, which makes them like more well suited to living inside of your body. Fun facts on the Luxander show. Fungus among us, true. Yeah, it's a fun time. It's fun. Yes, you Europeans should go to sleep. We try to start the show like just early enough that we can catch you before you go to bed. And we also do our show on Sunday at noon Central Time, which is usually like 6 p.m., 7 p.m. in like Western Europe. So come check us out on Sundays if you're sleepy right now. What's up, Kitty Tick? Good luck at the doctor. Germany is 7 hours ahead. Yeah. It's like 6 hours ahead for the UK. Germany is 6. Or sorry, it's 7. I just said 6 twice. Making sure my body is as uninhabitable as possible. Right? I got a probiotic that I need to actually start taking. I just keep forgetting to do it. That's supposed to help prevent any viruses from infecting you, because it's like it just populates your nose and mouth and lungs with like a healthy bacterium. Streptococcus salivarius K12 is what it's called. Blech. Okay, so I guess, we've been going for about an hour. Maybe we should consider sliding into one of our actual topics. There's 77 people in here. 79 people in here, and 79 likes. Congratulations on maxing out the likes. Thank you. Maybe we'll get to 100 today? Perhaps? I don't know. We'll see. But for now, yeah, let's get ready to rumble. Okay, I've got the J.K. Rowling thing. I've got the Australia thing. I have one thing about the Supreme Court open. Bleh, the Supreme Court. Oh yeah, I was in the middle of reading an article about who Aaron Bushnell was and what were his beliefs. I don't know. I kind of feel like I should do an either or. Either I should do this Aaron Bushnell segment, or the segment covering the other folks who have done self-immolation recently. Yeah, the 1-to-1 ratio, I'm not going to complain about it, for sure. Yeah, Supreme Court. Yay. So excited. And what else do I need? Okay, go to Twitter so that I can get the thing about Florida that I was going to look at. Florida. Oh, this is just a fun little aside, okay? Any fans of Avatar The Last Airbender, right? And even if you're not, it doesn't really matter. It's fine. So, in Avatar The Last Airbender, we arrive in our story after 100 years of war, where the Fire Nation is oppressing other nations and committing genocide, right? So, one of the things that happens is, like, Iroh, who is the crown prince of the Fire Nation, he's like sieging Ba Sing Se for like several years, and then his son dies, and then he comes home. People like consistently are saying things like, Iroh got away with war crimes, and he didn't really get like punished for it. He got to live a nice life and serve tea or whatever. I need you to understand that war crimes are specific actions taken within a war that are considered unacceptable, even within the context of it being a war. Like starving people or using chemical weaponry, like that's considered unacceptable. Another thing that's considered unacceptable in war is using the enemy's insignia to pretend to be your enemy in order to gain a military advantage, which Sokka did do. Sokka did that. Sokka committed a war crime. Now, I will say, flamethrowers are considered a war crime, so hypothetically, you could say any firebending in combat, like any firebending used against civilians, I guess, could be considered a war crime, but there's no evidence that Iroh himself did that. They were just sieging the city, which means like they weren't, do you understand that sieging a city means that you basically do not have any combat happening? Like there's no active person versus person combat in a siege against a city that has an extremely well fortified wall. Sokka equals Dick Cheney. Listen. I didn't see that. I think the creators of Avatar explaining who the Fire Nation represented. Is it us? Is it the United States? Did you hear about the reaction people are having to the James Somerton tweet? I saw Keffels talk about it a couple times. What reaction specifically do people refer to? Thank you, Wild Bunny. I appreciate it. I am enjoying doing weird things with my hair and trying to make it do its natural waves. Is it a war crime specifically, or is it just an international crime to use the Red Cross symbol for anything other than Red Cross purposes? I don't think it's specifically a war crime, but I do know that it is against international law, because Tom Scott has like a Tom Scott Plus channel, and his color is red, and so he was considering doing like some kind of using like a red plus sign in the thing. And then he was like told that he couldn't because of the Red Cross thing. Yeah, so I am aware that James Somerton, so he posted his first apology video a couple months ago and it didn't go over well. He posted another apology video quite recently and that didn't go over well either. And then he took down the most recent video, and I think he took down the first video as well previously. And then now he has posted on Twitter basically a suicide note, and he made his Twitter private, so I can't actually go see his tweet. Well, I mean, I could see screenshots of it, of course. But yeah, it's unclear at this point if he actually made an attempt, or if this, like, did he make an attempt and succeed, or did he make an attempt and fail? Like, did he just strictly do this for attention and not actually as not as an actual mental health crisis? I don't know. It's unclear at this time. Agnes T, thank you so much for the 2 gifted tier 1 subs. Mayo side. Wild Bunny and Shakespeare, enjoy your new emoji access. And Agnes says, and the quest to find what's under the hoodie begins. It continues. We got a $5 donut earlier from Decoy Duck, and now you've brought us up to 15. Yes, queen! Appreciate y'all. Ugh. Generic symbol. What's up, Spiritborn? Are you new too? Hello, so many new people today. Goodness gracious. The red. Sorry. What did? Sorry. Generic symbols can't be trademarked in law. It's not a trademark thing. It's like I don't. It's different. It's not like normal intellectual property laws. New returning. Gotcha. Gotcha. Chiming in on the Atlas stuff, the Fire Nation is definitely America. Zuko says to Ozai, "We were taught the war was our way of spreading our greatness. What an amazing lie that was. That struck directly into my heart the first time I saw Atlas." It's rough. I'm currently on the elliptical in the cooldown, but if my of my cardio, but that was important to say. Yeah, no, I appreciate it. I don't, is the elliptical any good? I always do the stationary bike. I don't know. I feel like I might as well be sitting down if I'm gonna do cardio. Oh my god, I agree, Jay. I hate that James Somerton is so manipulative and untrustworthy that I'm doubting whether he attempted suicide or if he's just using this as a ploy for attention or sympathy. It can be both. It can be both. Like he can have made an attempt and also have been doing it for attention and sympathy. Second favorite cardio is elliptical for me. What's your first favorite cardio? It could also just be imperialism in general. Right, sure. Running in sand? Oh man, I love walking on sand. It feels so good on your feet. My feet hurt. I don't even do anything and my feet hurt. Beaches, old riverbeds. I like running across like a nice volleyball area. You know what I mean? Just curated specific sand. Oh, geez. Okay, we have too many segments today to be procrastinating like this. But I saw that thing about Avatar: The Last Airbender on my Twitter account, and I needed to talk about it, apparently. I have had Kelly Clarkson's Since You've Been Gone stuck in my head for, like, days. No Korra rant incoming. I haven't watched Korra recently enough to rant about it. Yeah, thank you, Irene. Yeah, it's just... I can't breathe. It's just, oh my god, okay, thanks. I haven't even listened to that song in years. Maybe it was, like, on the radio in the grocery store when I went, or something. I just don't remember. If he truly does feel suicidal, I extend my sympathies, but I'm highly skeptical since manipulative people use that as a tactic to escape accountability. Right. I think one of the things that I continually want to spread with my message here, I guess, is like, we set this up as a dynamic. Like we set this up as like an opposing, mutually exclusive dialectic of like people are either genuinely suicidal or they are being manipulative and using this as a tactic. Like, I think, like a tactic to escape accountability. Like, I think that both of those things can be true at the same time because I think most people don't do things thinking, oh, this will really convince them. Yeah, we're talking Somerton. I don't think most people are going, oh, yeah, this will really convince them to take my side. This will really get him. Like, I think people do genuinely feel like, oh my God, I can't handle the consequences of this accountability. And I want people to stop treating me like this. And these things are making me feel suicidal. And like, and they know on some level that that will get them sympathy. But like, that doesn't necessarily mean that their explicit intention is like, this is going to be the way that I get my career back, I think most people do abusive and manipulative things coming from a place of feeling like they're being honest and genuine about their feelings, essentially. Hey, is that Mersh on an alt account? Because the other one wouldn't work? Maybe Somerton just feels like a victim, and this may have caused both suicidal tendencies and manipulative behavior. Sure, yeah, I mean, I think you can. I think that he definitely feels like a victim. You know, there were a lot of people who ignored what H Bomber Guy said in his video and harassed him, like harassed James Somerton, which is obviously not cool. But also, you know, there is a kind of wounded person who, even if there weren't any direct forms of harassment, that just knowing that your content is lolcow fodder for several different communities of people, like this is not even like, listen, H Bomber Guy is so big that this stuff does not stay in the leftist community. This is not leftist news. This is internet news. This is YouTube news. Having this, you know, big plagiarism reveal happen. So yeah, imagine having like a bunch of different sections of YouTube, not even just one area, all making content like telling you your apologies are shitty and like telling you that you suck, essentially. You know, even if no one is directly coming to James Somerton, watching that happen, oh my god, it's got to feel like such an attack. Like it genuinely has to feel. He's got to feel so me versus the world. Hey, Mersh, there you go. You got your color back. He is in the wrong, to be clear, and like he should be receiving consequences. And people do dislike plagiarists for a good reason, and so it makes sense for him to be receiving these consequences. But like for him, I'm sure it's just like the world is over. It's weird how people who find success in media decide that it's a job they are entitled to after essentially being fired. If I commit fraud at one clothes shop, that doesn't mean I still get to work in a shop. And then threatening yourself wouldn't help me keep a career. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Like, you know, you were successful in media on YouTube, and then you fucked up bad enough that the community, like you, all of your coworkers essentially, and all of your clients, basically, if you want to look at it that way, like your viewers in this context, we could say are like your clients or your, I mean, your audience or whatever, but like they're people who you work for. You make the product for them. They're your consumer. And if they don't want to consume your product anymore and all your coworkers are pissed off at you, like, and you've damaged your reputation, like sometimes you can fuck up bad enough to burn yourself completely out of an industry. And I think that people need to be a lot more willing to accept and move forward and roll with the punches when that happens. You cannot expect to be plagiarizing for years and years and years, hundreds of times, and never receive any consequences for it. Like, you have to know that that house of cards is going to collapse at a certain point. And I can't even imagine, not only the fall that you take at the end, but the state of mind that you have to be in throughout that process. Like, you have to be on some level, like, constantly paranoid that someone is going to discover what you've done, right? Because on some level that it's not something you should be doing. Otherwise, they wouldn't be trying to hide it, you guys. When they, like, just really badly rephrase things and give it shitty grammar when it was perfectly fine before, it's like they understand that they need to avoid getting caught doing something wrong, even if they personally, like, don't morally believe that it's wrong. Like, they still understand that there would be negative repercussions. As someone who works at a special ed school / therapeutic school, many of our clients use suicide as a form of attention. Or sorry, I'm assuming you mean like if your clients are doing suicidal behaviors, most of the ones who are doing it as a form of attention seeking. Yeah, I mean, I also think that it's probably good to reframe attention seeking as like connection seeking. Like if you're seeking attention, ultimately what you're seeking is like someone connecting with you, like someone observing, like paying attention to you, looking at you, seeing you, validating your existence through connection. So, I don't know. I just think a lot of reframing can help you tolerate stuff better and understand it better. Like attention seeking has this negative stigma, right? But when you frame it as seeking connection, it like is a much more understandable. It's like it's much harder to disregard and be like, look at you, you attention seeker. Like wanting attention is seen as a bad thing, but it's hard to make fun of someone for being like, I'm seeking connection. And it helps you feel better about like, you know, if you're annoyed with a kid for like constantly demanding your attention, it's like, okay, well, you need to do a better job of front loading the connection so that the kid doesn't feel the need to be like constantly pestering you. You are not providing them with what they need. It seems to me like Summerton is one of those folks who doesn't understand that no matter how remorseful you are, even if you do actually learn and actually want to be better, the people you wronged are not obligated to forgive you for what you did, no matter how hard you try. I have the same conversation with my mom about why my sister went no contact with her and remains that way, even though my mom has improved quite a lot. Yeah, you know, you're not like entitled to forgiveness. I think it's, you know, maybe something that Summerton is not quite grokking, like that you're not entitled to a YouTube career. You're not entitled to like a second chance. But I mean, it's not even a second chance because we have so much evidence that it happened over and over and over again, and that people would contact him and ask him for credit, and that he would blow them off. Like it was crazy. It's definitely not the kind of thing where you could say, "Oh, he just did it once, and it's a mistake that we can forgive." It was like repeated, and it harmed people. It stole money and attention from folks who did honest work. I think a lot of people confuse forgiveness with absolution. Someone can be forgiven but not absolved for what they've done. Sure, yeah, sure. I don't think that's incorrect. I think in this particular instance, um, I don't know that that distinction really makes a huge difference because I don't think most people forgive him either. You know? Biden fundraising YouTube ad jump scare. Sorry. Oh gosh. Listen, I'll take their money. That was me taking their money. Listen, if you use AdBlock, you should donate $1 a month to me on Patreon. Because I do actually make a decent chunk of my money off of like advertisement. $1 a month of Patreon will get you absolution. I will absolve you. I will not only forgive you for your use of AdBlock, I will absolve you. You will get 100 blessings. I did worse on cardio today, only 4.6 miles in 1 hour on elliptical. Didn't have my Adderall today, so that's my excuse. Yes, holla to the YouTube premium users, for sure. I mean, you know, you can't go hard on the cardio every day. I was going to do cardio this morning, but I was hungover and I felt like shit. And I was like, I'm not going to push myself like that right now. Excuse me. Corpse Candy with the tier 1 sub. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. Kelsey says, used to be a huge fan of Summerton. Not going to watch him again. Don't blame you. I mean, it's the trust, you know. If you were a viewer of his, if you enjoyed his content, you assumed in good faith that he was the one producing the content, and then you were misled. It's not good. I only do cardio once a week. I do arms and legs twice a week. My only real goal is to be hot. Oh, okay, fair. Yeah, I'm doing like 4 I'm hoping to get to 5 days a week of cardio, but 4 days of cardio right now, with the intention of just trimming some edges down. We're making, I don't know, I haven't really lost any numbers on the scale yet, so I don't know if I'm making progress or not. We'll see. I'm expecting it to take like a minimum of 2 months to get anywhere near the range that I want to be at, with like 4 days of moderate to vigorous cardio each week. Oh gosh. Cardio days take half the actual time but feel like 4 times as long. Yeah. They're tough. Okay. Oh gosh, we've ended up with so many stories today. I guess this Supreme Court thing, we don't really need to do an actual segment for it, because this kind of content does not do well on my channel anyway. We are so close to like 100 viewers right now. We're definitely going to get to 100 likes at this point, I think, but this is like a pretty high number of viewers. So thank you for hanging out here today. Also, fuck J.K. Rowling. But yeah, so I just will talk briefly about the Supreme Court thing real quick. Because, so like, the Supreme Court is deciding whether or not states are allowed to remove Trump from the state ballot based on the 14th Amendment. Like, Section 3 of the 14th Amendment says if you commit an insurrection, then you're not allowed to run for public office. But apparently they're just like, whatever, doesn't matter. Y'all, for real, today is amazing. You're the best. So this has been working its way up through appeals courts, up to the Supreme Court, and I kind of suspected that they were going to do something to make it to where you have to put him on the ballot, essentially, which is what they did. Let's see, we're gonna read a little bit of this article. The court ruled that Colorado cannot keep Trump off the presidential ballot, despite having determined that he engaged in an insurrection. All 9 of the justices agreed that Section 9 of the 14th Amendment, barring insurrectionists from taking office, cannot be enforced at the state level. Resolving that was the question at issue. However, 5 of the court's conservative justices then went on to craft a special rule for insurrectionists only, one that would insulate Trump regardless of his future actions. The 3 liberal justices wrote a concurrence that, according to this person, should have been a dissent instead. Justice Amy Coney Barrett wrote something confusing and unnecessary. That's not surprising. Oh yeah, the thing that she said that was crazy was like, writings on the court should turn the national temperature down, not up. Did they rule this way because they assumed that if they allowed states to keep Trump from being on the ballot, that would cause like Republicans to be galvanized and become violent? Because, like, of course, for me as a leftist, it does not feel like turning the temperature down to basically just rule that the 14th Amendment doesn't apply sometimes. You know what I mean? Yeah, thank you, Jay. Exactly. Like, when are we going to start using law books as toilet paper? Any day now, right? So, but I guess leftists are less likely to turn up with guns as a result of this decision. Like, maybe the Republicans would have been more likely to do that in this time. Like, I don't know. Of course, him being removed from the ballot is only happening in states where he wasn't going to get any electorates in any of the electoral votes anyway. Like Colorado. Okay, Colorado's like pretty consistently blue. Okay, cool. None of the electoral votes were going to go to him anyway. Lies, fake, and dumb, signed a lawyer. What kind of lawyer are you, Hellbound? Don't dox yourself or anything, but like, I'm curious. Yeah, the extreme conflict of interest with Clarence Thomas and his wife. So, this author points out that states make decisions about ballot eligibility all the time. The justices bought into the incorrect notion that allowing states to determine ballot eligibility is positively unheard of, and somehow encroaches upon the province of the federal government, saying, quote, the result could well be that a single candidate would be declared ineligible in some states but not others, based on the same conduct and perhaps even the same factual record. Okay, and? Like, and? A tenant's lawyer. Nice. Based. That's really cool. The opinion frets about a patchwork of state election laws arising and disrupting uniform ballot process, but states have always set their own eligibility requirements for presidential candidates to appear on the ballot. It's not merely a tradition that has evolved over time, rather it's grounded in Article 1, Section 4 of the Constitution, the States and Elections Clause. States' ability to set their own ballot requirements, including for president, means that some candidates will indeed be on the ballot in some states and not others. Yeah. I don't even know that I need to go into any further detail. Like, that's solid. Yeah, fucking Judge Clarence Thomas, please accept John Oliver's bribe to resign, please. Oh, man. Just get out of there. Just go away. They're not going to. We can hope that since the CDC just dropped its isolation requirement, basically, and apparently, like, so up until this point during this pandemic, it's been required that anybody who is going to be in the same room as the president has to take a test, like a COVID test, including those press conference things where all the people are shouting questions at him. And apparently just this past week, they have nullified that requirement. So the press are no longer required to take the tests, which means that Biden and presumably other high-level politicians and maybe even the even the Supreme Court justices, they might be more exposed to COVID now. And we can hope that these old people start dropping off from the respiratory virus that they're doing nothing to mitigate the spread of. Or do we have a prediction that Biden only has 1 year left? Clarence Thomas does have existing heart issues. Just gotta wine and dine him until his heart gives out. My apologies, Misfit Santanas. Some old people are good. But I'm saying these old people who are running our country need to start dropping like flies. Other old people are good. I guess I don't know what 2YIL is. YIL? Don't know what that is. Yeah, I know. I know that they still have the best healthcare in the world and they get access to experimental treatments and yeah, like, and they have started installing like pretty heavy duty air filtration systems in the White House. Like, he is not unprotected, but they've started to let their guard down. Honestly, Kissinger lived to be 100. I'm not holding my breath. Fair enough. The evil ones do tend to live really long. It would be funny if Bernie outlived both Trump and Biden? I mean, I'm sure that he's going to. Nice, Misfit Satanas. I'm glad you're having a good day. Thank you for joining us, by the way. I'm assuming that there's lots of new people in the chat. So hi, I'm Luxander. I'm trans. We talk about a lot of different stuff on the show. Feel free to subscribe. Feel free to hop on the website chat where we have cool custom emojis. Feel free to donate if you can, because I am self-employed, and that means I'm probably going to owe some money on my taxes. So if you want to help out with that, thank you. Bernie was born an old man. Oh my god, the Supreme Court is so bad. This couldn't be worse. I mean, it could be worse. It's on a trajectory toward the worst outcome. I know, right? These conservative politicians being so hypocritical, encouraging their MAGA supporters not to take the vaccines, but they're taking theirs and making sure their family is doing it too, right? Remember when there were those people at the oh my god, what is it called? The state of, it's not the State of the Union. It's like the press one. What's that one called? I forget what it's called. But like there were some anti-vax people who were saying, "Oh, I'm not going to get vaccinated for COVID," but in order to get in to the event with the president there, at the time everybody had to have proof of vaccination. So it's like if you were there, these right-wing people who are there, yeah, the press secretary dinner, is it yeah, the correspondence dinner. Thank you. That's the one. Um the White House correspondence dinner. And yeah, so yeah, it's funny. They'll profess one thing publicly. I mean, and it's the same thing we've been seeing for years and years and years with people who are really against abortion. These like upper middle class white ladies who will actually like go protest at Planned Parenthoods, but then they had an abortion and it's okay when they do it. Like they'll say things like, "Well, but I already had kids." Like, yeah, dip ass. So do most people who have abortions, including people who go to Planned Parenthood. Like they just feel like their situation is different and exceptional. And of course, keep in mind that those affluent white people, yeah, dip ass, you like that one? These affluent people who get abortion like restricted or made illegal, they still have the resources to fly somewhere and pay top dollar to get an abortion somewhere else. Like they can restrict access in the state where they live and where you live, and then they have the assets to fly somewhere. Our Supreme Court previously ruled that black people couldn't be citizens and that separate but equal was okay. So voting to okay the defense of a dictator seems keeping with tradition. Right? Yeah, this whole system is real weird. The rules apply to everyone but me. Rules for me, or sorry, rules for thee, but not for me. My wife thought your vid on Next Benedict was both informative and heartbreaking. It's so hard to do content like that sometimes. Like, I know and love several transgender teenagers, and it's really hard to deal with the environment that, that imagining like, oh, other trans teens, like the ones I know, are experiencing all these hardships. It's not easy. Oh, God. My conspiracy theory is that both Dems and Reps have been sticking old people in office because young presidents like JFK caused security issues because he couldn't keep it in his pants. We don't need older presidents. We need presidents who can use a condom. I guess. Like, but the thing about old men is that they don't stop being horny and creepy just because they're old. Thank you, Winter's Night. I appreciate you being here. No worries. I appreciate, liking, commenting, subscribing, sharing the content. All those things help, and they're totally free. Honestly, sometimes I really wonder how you're able to do the content you do without constantly mentally crumbling. I try to spend as little time as possible outside of work thinking about work. I'm really bad at it, and I have been like had times in the past where my mental health was definitely suffering because I did not have enough of a boundary, and I'm getting better about having that boundary. So basically, like I stream and then I try to do all of the video work the following day. It doesn't always pan out that way. This week I did it Monday and Tuesday, and that really made me feel like crap. But like I'm trying to keep, have more days where I just don't have to think about work at all. And then I can take care of my house. I can start filing my taxes. You gotta have a mental separation. And it's like, I would be looking at this shit anyway. That's the other thing. That's part of why I made this my job, is because I would be drowning in this anyway. And at least this way, I will have healthy boundaries around it. You need a no work friend to tell you, hey, no work, when you think, work. I'm not too bad. I'm not too bad. I've been liking your videos, and I swear I thought I subscribed like a week ago, but at the start of the stream today, I realized I wasn't. Sometimes it glitches. Always double check. Always double check that your notification settings are where they need to be. TLDR, I am now subbed. Yes, high five. You would have to be subbed in order to be in the chat. It's a very tiny deterrent to keep away trolls, and it's mostly effective, frankly. Oh, goodness gracious. Okay, what are we going to start with? Sometimes it glitches. Thanks, Susan. Love this platform. Listen, y'all, Facebook was just gone for like hours a couple days ago. Was it yesterday? I was so annoyed, and I still haven't been able to get back into it on my desktop computer because I don't know what the password is. I was like trying to change the password, and I clicked the submit button like a couple times, and I ended up trying a couple different passwords, and like, so I don't know which one it changed to, but I did manage to successfully change my password apparently, and then now whenever I try to log in, it's like just giving me stupid errors. YouTube will end your subscriptions randomly too. Yeah, for sure. Always double check. Did I see Dead Domain's vid on the infiltration of CPAC? I was in the process of watching some of it when stream started. I watched a little bit, and then I paused, and then I watched more of it, so I'm gonna finish it later tonight, probably. Okay, let's decide what we're gonna start with today. Oh, Twitter, you've been so silly lately. So many silly things happening. Oh yeah, I wanted to go over this I wanted to go over this Twitter thread. I'm not sure if this is gonna make it into a segment or not, but I do enjoy. I think that this is really well put. Excuse me. Oh my god. So this person is saying, I'm going to make a very simple statement. There is an insufficient water supply in the US Southwest to support a population and agricultural sector that is growing rapidly. Okay, Arizona, New Mexico, you imagine it's probably pretty dry there, and trying to do agriculture there would be pretty difficult, right? Follow-up. Global temperatures are rising, and there is evidence that traditional patterns of snowfall are being interrupted by this rise. Cool? Not a controversial statement. The vast majority of water for the US Southwest comes from the Colorado River and its tributaries, which is fed by snowmelt in the Rockies. Not all of the water, but most of it. So the situation is, there's already not enough water. The population and agriculture in the Southwest is growing. Why? The Earth is getting hotter, and the snow isn't falling in the same places or as much, and the Southwest relies on snowmelt via the Colorado River to survive. Not entirely, but mostly. Also, bringing water to the interior of the US Southwest from the ocean would require the largest engineering project humanity has ever attempted. That would be crazy. Yeah, how do you get water to a desert? Like, how are you going to do that? That would be a huge project. Such a project could not be completed in less than a decade, probably several decades, and would cost easily trillions of dollars. Apparently, Josh has done the math. A drastic reduction in water to either cities and towns or farms in the US Southwest, causing population or agricultural production contraction, would have very serious impacts on the US economy, either by causing migration from the area or the closing of farms. Pretty clear. Pretty clear consequentialism here. All evidence suggests that it is unlikely that there will still be the same level of snowfall in the Rockies in a decade, and that despite some outliers, the trend is downward. Like, the snowmelt is going to be less each year, even if occasionally one year it spikes up a little bit. It's not returning to previous levels, and it's continuously declining. Also, many of the world's banks have invested heavily in property and business in the US Southwest, including Southern California. These investments are worth trillions of dollars total, If they failed rapidly, the result would be devastating. We just had a little Facebook meltdown. Facebook and Meta and Instagram and everything went down. And, like, that's a communication method for a lot of people. It's like how you learn about things that are happening in your local community for a lot of people. Imagine, like, suddenly you can't support businesses in the US Southwest where, like, all of these, like, you know, Silicon Valley social media companies are, like, headquartered. This was an episode of South Park, true? Or are you talking about the infiltration of the CPAC? Anyway, let's see what else is in here. Yeah, I mean, he's just basically like, yeah, this is gonna be bad. What's gonna happen? Yo, we are so past 100 likes. Look at us right now. Oh, the water thing? Yeah. Like, trying to pump in water to a desert that is increasingly dry, like, the amount of water that they have there is kind of already not enough for the people and the agriculture that is already there, much less increasing amounts. So, like, the demand for water is going to continue to increase as the supply of water continues to degrade. I think someone said, Kitty Tick may have said recently, that in previous years, the Colorado River has dried up enough that it is not reaching the ocean anymore. Like, it usually um, deposits, like, its mouth is usually in the ocean. This is from my website. The chat over here is from my website. I don't stream on Twitch. Oh my god, drink more water, babes. I'm so thirsty all the time. Thirsty, thirsty boy. It makes the vocal fry more intense too, I've noticed. Okay. A lot of the reason why the Colorado River doesn't always reach the ocean is because the U.S. extracts a shit ton of water for agriculture before it crosses into Mexico. Yeah. It's like, not only is there less snow melt, but they're also still pulling the same amount or more water every year. Like, the conditions get hotter every year, so you necessarily have to use more water in the agriculture as well. Like, oh my god, it's compounding issues always. Gotta sit on my feet for a few minutes. Yeah, no shit, it's a full-on environmental disaster. There's a lot of those on the horizon. Oh, speaking of, I just want to share briefly, since I haven't mentioned it yet today, and it's relevant to the discussion on climate. I've been learning about permaculture and, like, how to return water to the environment, like, by, humans, like, what plants do you put in order to hold water in the ground? Where do you install the ponds in order to, increase the water table and put more pressure on the springs and everything? What plants do you plant together in order to complement each other? What plants do you plant to attract certain bugs that are positive, like pollinators and everything? All these kind of things. And where I'm starting with that, as far as my own practical interaction, honestly, I kind of feel like if I had the opportunity to rewind and go to college, like, for real, I would do something in conservation because it's so interesting to me. But so, as a lay person who is not educated in any of this, my way in to myself doing it practically, one of the main things that I'm doing is I'm starting a community garden plot this year. And this is probably going to be the only year that I'm at this garden plot. So I'm going to go ham. And today I started my seeds that I'm starting indoors. I have a video about it that I'm going to put probably on my Patreon first, and, like, showing you my setup and everything. And then eventually it'll release publicly to my second channel, where I will be talking about those things more often. So if you're at all interested in the gardening, permaculture, climate change conversations that we have on my show, that's going to be where you'll see more of that content. It's just called Luxander 2, just the number 2 for now. I'll change the name eventually. But yeah, I planted my tomatoes today. I planted my basil today. I have 2 different varieties of tomatoes. I have just like a regular culinary variety that I'm hoping is going to be fun, different colors. And then I've got a variety of cherry tomatoes and then my basil. Um, when the time comes to transplant those into the ground, I will also sow directly into the ground some calendula, some marigold, and I think I have 2 different varieties of carrots. I'm going to do a little bit of both varieties, I think. So yeah, that's kind of my deal right now for this year. I wanted to do conservation for vocational tech at my high school, but wasn't sure I could handle the physical aspect of the second year. Fair enough. Yeah, I'm assuming that in conservation, there would be an expectation of physical labor in certain applications. Because that's the other way that you can get involved locally is, you know, in Kansas, we've got several different protected wetlands, and something that I see people organizing for locally is, for example, going to a place and removing a bunch of invasive species. Like, okay, we've got this one invasive plant that here's what it looks like. We're gonna get it, and you know, that is like a way to contribute to the local community. And then you'll meet people, and it's all good. We'll be growing oranges in Alaska. Dale Gribble from King of the Hill on climate crisis in 1997. Yeah, dude. Man. I'm in Kansas. Calendula is mildly invasive in California, and there are native target species in the U.S. Southwest. Yeah, so I live in Kansas, and it's also going to be hopefully a pretty well self-contained garden plot, and I'm going to be periodically harvesting the calendula as well. I'm honestly more worried about the marigolds that I'm going to plant, because I have marigold, calendula, and carrots. That those are all going to be direct sow into the ground. And yet the marigolds tend to reseed themselves over and over again. So it's like, sorry, person who gets this garden plot next year, you're going to have to just kind of deal with the fact that there's marigolds. Okay, the burp came. I was waiting for the burp. Thank you. Yeah, Kansas. Honestly, I don't hate living here. I wish that it was just less politically awful and that the climate wasn't going to make this place unlivable for like 3 to 4 months out of the year for me. That's the way that we're going. Ugh. It would be cool to stay, but I can't safely use public bathrooms anymore. There are no native marigolds to Kansas. You may want to try something like, do those species do the same thing that marigolds do in the garden? Because the point is that the marigolds prevent other pestilence from fucking with my tomatoes. 90% of the people who get degrees in conservation and or environmental science become federal park rangers. Ranger Lux in the future? No. I mean, I do like the idea of being a mountain person. We're going the way of ancient cyanobacteria, suffocating in our own industrial farts. That's oddly poetic. Oddly poetic. I have an environmental degree, and so far I'm just homeless. I mean, yeah, you gotta, like, be willing to travel and be able to be physical. Bill Nye has been teaching people about climate change for like 30 plus years. It's no wonder he's fed up and short-tempered now. I'm feeling that same thing where, like, I'm just feeling more and more short-tempered and like less patient. All jokes aside, if you want to be a park ranger, I could hook you up. Listen, I mean, I'll consider it. I do have a full-time job. It's not the best paying job, but I do have a full-time job, and it's quite satisfying. And it leaves me lots of time to do other stuff, so it's tough. Okay, I think I'm going to avoid the self-immolation topic for today, because I'm frankly just really tired. I did not sleep well, and I was hungover for like the first half of the day today, so we have not done the JKR segment. I often save the title issue until like, oh, I'm almost done with the news part of the show. Yeah, because part of the reason that I'm planting calendula and marigold in my garden, like I know that you can use calendula like a herbal medicine or whatever, um, but I'm mostly planting both of those to try to protect my other plants from certain invasive pests and stuff. So yeah, and I also have no idea. I don't think that this is a raised plot, but it could be. I don't know. I have not seen which plot is mine. 1 hour on the elliptical minus 600 calories. One Costco hot dog plus 600 calories. I know it's the like, rough shit. Okay. I mean, to be fair, although like to be fair, I already have the seeds. Like, and I'm not really gonna have another opportunity to get more seeds. You work out to eat. I mean, the thing about working out too is that you are burning calories from fat while you're working out. Um, and also there's the whole intermittent fasting thing where if you only eat for like an 8 hour period of time from start to finish, then your other time of the day, your fasting time of the day, you are also burning more calories. So it's not strictly just calories in, calories out. It's a little bit more complicated than that, but we try. Anyhoozle. Okay. Okay, I think I'm basically gonna have like three proper segments from this show. I don't even know who India Willoughby is either. I do like I've seen her name now as far as J.K. Rowling, but I don't know what specifically was going on. Oh, she's a journalist. She's a British journalist who is trans. Cool. I'll keep that link. She's a Brexiteer. Oh no. So she's like conservative and trans. Okay. Cool. I want to talk about labor for a minute because increasingly, I think here in the US, we're seeing a pretty major degradation of workers' rights over time. It's, gradually wearing away the power of unions, the extreme disparity between the cost of living and the minimum wage, the fact that the minimum wage is so different from place to place, and the cost of living is rising everywhere, while wages are not necessarily rising everywhere. Um, Amidst all of that, in that conversation, I think it's also worth talking about safety in the workplace and ways in which the government is undercutting those directly. And one very clear example we're seeing now is that the Florida Senate has voted to ban any requirements for water and shade breaks for outdoor workers. Like several senators voted for this from their air conditioned building. And I wanted to bring attention to this because, someone's comments, don't federal work protections trump this? And then this person points out there aren't any federal work protections on this subject. OSHA has recommendations, but not requirements, and they're not enforced when it comes to water and shade breaks, like temperature control issues. And that's interesting to me as well because it was kind of one of the core issues around the UPS strike that we had last year, or the near strike. Can't remember if they actually struck, but they ended up getting a deal where they got better wages and they received like, oh, if the company commissions new vehicles, then the new vehicles are required to be fitted with air conditioning, but does not require any vehicles to be retrofitted. So that just creates an incentive to never get new vehicles because they'll be more expensive if you put AC in them. But yeah, so Florida just said, okay, as a state, we are banning all of these protections So even if Miami, Florida, say, has a citywide protection saying you're required to let workers take breaks every so often in this temperature range, and you're required to provide them with water and like pickles and electrolytes, any local requirements, the state law supersedes the city law. And so they've said, nope, you're literally not allowed to give workers protection. And, it's like humid in Florida, super humid. So they're going to have more issues with temperature at a lower actual temperature. If the humidity is high enough, then it could be 83 degrees and people could be like unable to cool off because their sweat does not work because the humidity is too high. So it's crazy to me. Like, why aren't there requirements? It's the thing, as a person who has worked in trade work before and has worked in a union before, like, it's so obnoxious that these companies always want to cut safety. And like, what is the government incentive of barring requirements to provide water for workers? I mean, I guess somebody's friend owns a share of a water company that sells bottled water, like a soda company that sells bottled water, or like, and shade breaks. I guess obviously, any requirement that you provide more breaks for your workers means that it's a requirement for them to work less on some level, and therefore you can't possibly have that. That's my opinion. Yeah, the regulations of OSHA are written in blood. Like, those rules are there because someone got hurt. But that's not always the case. Because like anything else, OSHA, like the people who write the National Electrical Code, like those people who set those safety standards are also subject to a lot of bureaucratic nonsense. And so sometimes, yeah, like as one example, as an electrician, one of the rules in the NEC is that in a new construction situation, or if you're adding new outlets or whatever, you're required, let's say in a living room, to put in these special kind of outlets that have basically a mechanism inside them that protects it so that a kid can't stick something in one side and shock themselves. But they're more expensive than regular outlets, and they're required. And that's like a thing that happens. There's a couple other examples like that, but it's like, because it is required that you use AFCI protected outlets or breakers in the electrical box, they're more expensive, which sometimes means that because it's legally required for you to install them, you might have to leave someone with an unsafe, like, sparking outlet or whatever, or breaker. If they can't afford the proper one, they might not get it. So bureaucratically, they're setting these standards that ostensibly are about being safe. Ostensibly, it's, we want to protect babies from sticking a fork in the outlet. But in practice, it's bureaucratic nonsense for the purpose of making more money that in effect makes people less safe. So, like, with OSHA, you might think, oh yeah, it should be obvious that there are protections for heat because people can die from heat stroke. Not even that hard to do. And it's going to be more and more common with the temperatures rising and with more and more people developing POTS from their COVID infections. Your body can't regulate temperature as easily. Like, I am more likely to get heat stroke than someone else because of my condition. So yeah, it's like really obnoxious that these institutions who we are literally entrusting with our safety, like the Occupational Safety and Health Administration, you are trusting that they're going to set the standards. And this really bothers me as well with COVID, that like OSHA has not made any steps to, like, I don't even think there are any suggestions, much less any requirements that workplaces provide personal protective equipment in the form of masks in order to let people do their job safely. There's no requirements that people update, that companies update their air filtration systems, even though workers, like, for example, fast food workers or like retail workers, are being repeatedly, basically forcibly exposed to a deadly and disabling biosafety level 3 virus and they're contracting it at work, and they're getting basically injured at work by it, and then they can't work, but then there's no recompense. If you gradually lose your ability to do your job because of repeated infections that are damaging your body, like if you're calling out sick more often, if you can't do the job as expected, you're just going to lose your job and then try to be seeking disability, and then you have no recourse for the workplace that injured you so badly that you can't work. Like imagine that in any other situation. In any other situation where you are hurt at work, if you fall at work because the floor is wet or whatever, and you break your fucking leg, you'll get compensation for that. You'll get compensation for the time off. You can sue the company. Like the company is required to provide you with some kind of, they're supposed to protect you at work, and you got hurt at work on the job because of the job in a way that you would not have gotten hurt if you were not there. But when that thing is a deadly disabling virus, it just doesn't matter. And in the state of California, you're not entitled to compensation because a worker tried to sue basically for damages because he was exposed to COVID at work, and it hurt his wife more than it hurt him. Like she's much more negatively affected. And then, yeah, state of California was like, no, employers do not have any liability. They have no responsibility to protect you from this. It's like, okay, well, can I write off the masks that I buy in order to do my job safely? No, you can't. Oh, of course. Oh, well, that's a step further than I would have assumed, Mama. Mama's theory is that workplaces in Florida will also generously allow employees to buy water and buy a water break. I was with you on of course you can buy water. Of course that's part of the point, is like because they don't want to be providing free water. They want employees to pay a premium rate for water bottled just like everybody else. They want their employees to have to stop at the gas station to buy water. But buying a water break is really interesting. I wonder if they would create some kind of credit system. But no, they don't. They don't want to provide them extra breaks. They would, I think, literally rather you work until you drop dead. Like, they don't care about giving you water breaks. They'll just replace you with someone else. No, JKR has not been covered yet. We're getting there momentarily, though. We're working our way. We're making our way downtown. I guess I think that's basically all I had to say about the Florida labor protections thing and how it relates to COVID. And it just sucks to be institutionally let down on so many different levels. Like that even the Occupational Safety and Health Administration, it can't do the thing that's in the name of the thing. Like, occupational safety. Maybe you should weigh in on this. But then again, the CDC has given up on disease control, so good luck. Excuse me. Okay, now I'm going to put this in my stream notes because I'm done. Basically done talking about it. Where's my stream notes? Come back. I'm still putting my stream notes in the document called Stream Notes 2023. I need to make a new one. Okay, what is today? Today's 3/7? Is it really already? Oh my god. My birthday... Oh, it's 3/6. Okay. My birthday is in, like, about 3 weeks. Oh man, that's exciting. I'm turning 30. Ah! Okay. We got one official segment for the recording of the show. Solus, welcome in. Oh, yeah. You have employers who will gaslight and threaten you into not reporting them to OSHA for any violation. It's also amazing how employers think that there are just infinite workers to throw into the meat grinder. I'll be working on the 18th, my 30th birthday. Yeah. I'm gonna be zug-zugging it. Zug-zugging it. I mean, we have to do a birthday stream, right? That's the thing. We have to do a celebration. You have to help me celebrate my aging. Help me celebrate my white hairs that are going to be increasingly showing up. They look really cool. I'm like looking forward to them getting more prolific. True, OSHA turns into OHA, the Occupational Hazard Administration. It's at the end of the month, y'all. You don't need to know the exact day of my birth. It's at the end of the month, and we're doing a celebration stream, and that's all you need to know. Oh, also, I haven't plugged it yet this stream, but I made one of those wish lists on throne.com, which is like, it's a place where creators can make a wish list so that Amazon doesn't accidentally leak your address to the person who's buying you a thing. So, check it out. Consider contributing to the lavalier microphone in case you want to see vlog content. Anyway. Okay, well, let's do one more story and then we'll do the JKR thing. I don't even like listening to Bo Burnham anymore, but I've now got that song playing in my head. Dingus. I am a dingus. What's up, Melissa Pendragon? That's a cool name. Welcome in. Easter's in March this year. That happens sometimes, right? It's just like on a Sunday, or it's a Sunday a certain distance after some other thing. I can't remember. Is it Ash Wednesday? Like Easter is a certain amount of time after Ash Wednesday? Dabs. I don't think it's a leap year thing. Melissa and Corpse Candy are best friends. Y'all, I enjoy you all coming in and having relationships with each other. Telling your friends about the show and making friends in the chat for the show. There's a Discord server where you can continue your conversations after the show. Check the links in the description or up here on the website. Incroyable. I'm considering taking my little midstream moment, because often around the midpoint of the stream I feel like I need to pee out all the water that I've been drinking, and this is how much water I've drank since the beginning of stream. Like, a lot. Raven Lily says, I need more friends. Join the Discord. Find out if there's someone local. Go volunteer in your community. I'm honestly considering looking into if there's a way that I can volunteer in the local community, like for homeless activism or something. Like, you know, giving out hot cups of coffee or what have you. I don't know. It seems like a huge endeavor, but I just feel pulled to. I just feel really motivated to do it. Yeah. Man, my hair really is doing a lot today. Why are you doing so much? Okay, why are you in my collar? Thank you. Okay, that's better. The back of my hair is growing out. I decided to grow out the back of my hair. I used to shave this back here, and then I decided I was going to grow it out. And now it's like 5 or 6 inches long. I don't know. It's getting shaggy back there. Not super cute. Not super cute. I get mad when I have to pee, but I still feel dehydrated. Like, come on, body, are you too good for water? That means you need more salt. If you're like drinking a lot of water and you're peeing a lot and you still feel dehydrated, first of all, that could be a sign of diabetes, but more often it's a sign that you just need more electrolytes. But I feel so salty. Listen, too much salt can be bad for you. Just the right amount of salt. Yes, I saw that. We're gonna cover it all. We're gonna cover all of it. Okay? I guess when we come back, we'll do the J.K. Rowling thing. And then we'll, after that, we have another thing. But we'll do the J.K. Rowling thing when I get back. But I'm gonna do my little thing, run to the bathroom, rest my voice for a minute, and then we'll come back and we'll do our next 2 hours of the show, basically. Consistently, this is a 4-hour long show. Okay, so this is what we're gonna talk about when I get back. Nope, not that one, this one. This one. Alcohol can do that to you too, makes it harder for your body to absorb water. True. Don't drink alcohol, basically. TLDR is the story. All right. This is the story that we're going to talk about when I get back, but I'm going to give you back to the bugs. You can enjoy the bugs for a minute, right? Don't go anywhere. I will be in your walls if you go somewhere. I swear. I swear. Ah. Jump scare. Hi, I'm back. Some of you left. I told you I would be in your walls. You can be looking for me there later tonight, making little just scratching noises on the other side of the drywall. Those people didn't even hear my threats. Are those wood lice? Yes! They are Porcellanitis pruinosis, orange cream morph. They don't roll up. They just skitter around a lot. I mean, there are some in there that are Armadillidium vulgare, but there are just not very many of them in there. You get a wall pet. Just... That's the whole thing. Okay, I need to make... Ooh, yeah, there is another link I just retweeted recently about this, and I need to make sure I have it ready to go. I make weird noises sometimes. Don't look at me. Okay, yeah, this is the one. I need this. Cool. Yeah, I didn't leave, but literally I heard what I assumed was my neighbor from the wall. Now I'm thinking it was a haunting. It was me. I was astral projecting. New bottom surgery for... No. No. Okay, let's talk about J.K. Rowling, y'all. Let's fucking go. Hit the like button if you haven't already hit the like button. It helps the show. I'm gonna try to clear my throat a little bit. Because holy cow. There's just... I'm just so... I think it's a mold allergy. Like, ugh. I would like winter to freeze again. That would be great. Can winter freeze again sometimes? It's been so warm this winter. It sucks. I want the bugs and the mold to die temporarily. Okay. Okay. J.K. Rowling, once again, back at it with the white vans. She's just insatiable. She can't get enough. And it's incredible. It's truly astounding that we went from her occasionally, slipping up and having an old thumb, hitting the like button on very transphobic tweets, and how far we've come from what the situation used to be. Oh, where is the oh, there was a screenshot. I need it. Where did it go? Oh, come on, please. Where is it? I have been more active on Twitter today than I usually am, so there's... Look through stuff. Where did it go? I thought that I retweeted this. Did I not? Ah, here it is. Okay. You know, how far we've come. Do you remember when she tweeted this? I respect every trans person's right to live in any way that feels authentic and comfortable to them. I'd march with you if you were discriminated against on the basis of being trans. She does, you know, go at the same time, and she continues, but she did initially at least pretend to be supportive of trans people and say, yeah, you know, I think that you should be able to live authentically. I think as an adult, you should be able to do whatever you're allowed to do, which is still, you know, obviously that's still an indirectly anti-trans statement. If you have a sentiment that, oh, adults can be trans, but kids can't, you're still kind of implying that it's bad for kids somehow, that it's inappropriate for kids somehow, and it's not. Like, you're implying that being trans is sexual, or that if we tell kids that trans people exist, then that will somehow become a contagion. Like, no, that's not how it works. So anyway, J.K. Rowling used to ostensibly claim to be in support of trans people having the ability to self-identify and dress the way that they want to dress and be authentic. And it's just gone gradually downhill. And we've hit this point now where, okay, what's this whole conversation? So this starts with her doing one of her big long tweets. She's got a picture attached to here. She's responding to someone who says, even if that were true, how would barring trans women from women's spaces protect against predators? they will go in regardless, and they have done since women's spaces came into existence. Of course, there are trans predators, and they should be locked up, but barring all trans people is not the way to go about this. Joanne's response to that is, we don't leave our doors and windows wide open when we go out because thieves will find a way in anyway. Strangely, I've never heard anyone say, let's stop background checking teachers because pedophiles will always find a way to interfere with kids. Like, I, she's just, I mean, she's just gonna lump trans women in with men and are like, that's her whole fundamental thing because she continues, like, when men, all men, however they identify, are banned from women's spaces, those who disregard the ban can be challenged inside the space and out. They mark themselves out as suspicious by breaking a rule decent men respect. Nobody claims the rule has successfully kept out every single man who wants to commit voyeurism or sexual assault. What we're saying is that allowing males into female-only spaces on the basis of their claim to be a woman removes an obstacle that has hitherto been proven to increase women and girls' safety. So, yeah, I mean, she's just like, all men are potential threats, and all trans women are functionally men. Like, and it's like anti-male and anti-trans at the same time. And this continues on. Oh my god. These Victorian platitudes, true. 88% of sexual crimes committed in changing/locker rooms happen in those that are unisex. Why? Because malign men don't have to justify their presence near unclothed women and girls. They can't be challenged. They don't stand out. This is obvious to all but the terminally naive. I don't actually know. That seems like a pretty high statistic. Because my guess actually would be that the majority of sexual crimes committed in changing in locker rooms happen in male locker rooms. That would be my guess, actually. So I don't know where this number is coming from. It kind of seems like she's just making shit up. It is too seldom noted that every single man arguing for the removal of single-sex spaces is arguing for his own right to enter those spaces. I don't think so. I think that there are plenty of cisgender men who are. She's referring to trans women here. She's saying every single man who's arguing for this. So she's referring to trans women. But there are cisgender men who argue in favor of like allowing trans women into women's bathrooms, and it's not about him getting into the bathroom because he wants to keep using the men's bathroom. It's crazy. I know from experience that they feign outrage when this point is put to them, gibbering that they're just being good, virtuous progressives who are standing up for trans women, that they personally won't be availing themselves of the new opportunities afforded them. Oh, so she's saying that any cisgender man who argues in favor of trans women's right to use the bathroom is himself a sexual predator who wants to take advantage of this in order to get, like, she's basically saying, Joanne is basically saying there is no such thing as a person who argues in favor of trans rights in good faith. Fundamentally, that's what she's saying here. If trans women who argue for their access to women's spaces are just doing it because they want to do something inappropriate in that space, and cisgender men only argue in favor of trans women's access to this space because they are secretly hoping that they can take advantage of that in order to get into those spaces. Like, she's basically suggesting that there is no such thing as a person who earnestly just wants trans women to be able to use the bathroom, like, safely and in a way that is not, like, fundamentally humiliating and uncomfortable. Yeah, this is a really good point, Mama. If trans women were the same as cis men, then studying them as separate demographics would yield the same results. However, it does not. Transphobes cite statistics for cis men's behavior while they're talking about trans women, claiming that trans women's behavior is exactly the same. But then they will say also that they aren't suspicious of cis men because their behavior is different. Like, it's just a lot of, yeah, it's contradictory. And also, there's also the fact that some gender critical TERF people are now saying they would prefer to use a male restroom than to use a women's room with a trans woman. Like, they would rather, that they feel safer, allegedly, in a male restroom than they do in a female restroom with a trans woman in it. Like the like baseless hatred is off the charts. Absolutely off the charts. Excuse me. Eric says, I've heard of two situations where gender neutral bathrooms had to then have a separate women's still because of bad situations in the gender neutral bathroom. Both situations, the offender was cisgender, but it was not a man both times. See? It's like women can do shitty things too sometimes, actually. Oh man. Let's see. The fact remains that instead of calling out male violence against trans women and working to make male spaces safer, these men have thrown their energy into the fight to remove women and girls' rights to safety, privacy, and dignity. So, yeah, this is the suggestion that trans women, like, should be able to feel safe using male spaces because, like, you know, the problem is men. Why aren't we focusing on making male spaces safe for trans women to exist in? Because some trans women will say that they use the women's room because now that they pass as women, it's unsafe for them in the men's room. And like that is true. So, but yeah, the argument then that Joanne is making is like, well, you're still not a woman, therefore we just, you work out your own problem in your own space. Don't come into my bathroom because it's her bathroom. She peed on it, therefore it's hers. Holy cow, dude. All right. She continues, and if anyone genuinely believes none of these enthusiastic, heterosexual, non trans identified male, quote, allies aren't personally enthralled by the idea of women and girls losing basic protections, I have several bridges to sell you. Like, okay, just trust me. Like, oh, if you don't believe this, then you're just super naive and stupid. I'm super smart. She's super smart. But that's not where this story ends. That's not where this story ends by far. Someone replies, okay, where is it? Where is it? Where is it? There was a specific thing. Hold on. Okay. Yeah. So someone responded, why should trans women be forced to use male spaces? Don't you understand just how humiliating for us that would be? Or don't you care? J.K. Rowling says, someday somebody really should have explained to you that your hurt feelings don't trump other people's rights, nor are women and girls validation props or comfort blankets. Okay. What a victim activity this is. Like, victimhood mentality. Ugh, your feelings don't trump my rights. You're trying to take away my rights because you think you feel like a certain way. Like, all right, girl, calm the fuck down. Mama says, I'm uncomfy with X demographic in my restroom is exactly the logic racists used to support segregation. Gendered restrooms exist to protect people from misogynistic sexism, which objectively trans women do experience. But it doesn't count. It doesn't count. It's not the same. And if anyway, if a trans woman was getting sexual harassed or whatever, or like, bothered in the men's bathroom because she looks like a woman, well, she probably likes it anyway because she's getting off on being affirmed in her weird sex thing. Like, that's what these people will genuinely say. They don't even bother to try to make it sound rational anymore. Oh, and again, we're gonna keep going. Joanne, you're saying that this lady should use the men's locker room, and this is a British journalist and trans woman who looks to be around the same age as Joanne, actually, maybe a little bit younger. And this response says, that's a vile misogynistic man. He should use the men's with the other men. And then, if India Willoughby is a misogynist, why did she become a woman? Make it make sense. And then J.K. Rowling coming in with, India didn't become a woman. India is cosplaying a misogynistic male fantasy of what a woman is. Now, India Willoughby, and I don't know if I'm pronouncing her name right. Sorry. So she is not a small figure, I guess, in Britain. I'd never heard of her before this event, but so J.K. Rowling is personally attacking this woman and because her rhetoric needs to stay consistent, she has to say that India is not a woman. She even avoids pronouns in this situation. She just says India didn't become a woman. India is cosplaying a misogynistic male fantasy. And it turns out in Britain, that's kind of maybe a crime now to say that. India Willoughby responded saying, "How dare you, J.K. Rowling? I'm a woman, recognized in law and reality. Honestly, you are such a vile person. The most obviously transphobic thing you could say to a trans person. Go get some therapy." And then, like, she was nominated Woman of the Year at something that I don't know what it was specifically. Like, she's legally female. She looks female. That's the deal. All right. So there was a recent precedent set in the UK, a trial about misgendering, and oh, holy cow, where is this other thing? I need this other thing. Okay, now where is the new video? There's a new video. I didn't open the tab in a new tab. It was dumb of me. Where? Okay, here it is. So here's the most recent development that I have about what is going to occur here. Let's watch this little video together. Make sure I got volume and everything where it should be.
J.K. Rowling has definitely committed a crime. I'm legally a woman.
Hold on.
She knows I'm...
Yeah, I can't. Okay. I'll turn it up slightly more. And then we'll start this over. So this is India in the media now, talking about what happened.
J.K. Rowling has definitely committed a crime. I'm legally a woman. She knows I'm a woman. And she calls me a man. It's a protected characteristic. And that is a breach of both the Equalities Act and the Gender Recognition Act.
So basically, this woman is taking legal action against J.K. Rowling. It's I don't know how far this is gonna go, but there was a recent case. Like, someone lost a case. I thought it was a civil suit. I can't remember, but you know, if you misgender a trans person in the UK, that's a form of like hate crime. Basically, it's like a form of personal attack that's not considered acceptable. And like, yeah, the way that she's describing it, the way that India is describing it, it's actually like a, not just necessarily, I don't know, it's like a crime, but like, I don't know if that means any punitive action besides a fine. I think it's probably mostly just damages. With Rowling being incredibly litigious towards her critics, I hope she loses everything. Seriously, like, get sued, lady.
She's tweeted that out to 14 million followers. If you check out the accounts that have been responding to me on the back of that, her trigger, it's absolutely disgusting, putrid, some of the worst abuse I've ever seen on social media. And I know I'm at the center of it, and I might be a little bit biased.
Well, what are you going to do about this?
So yeah, another thing to point out is that she is experiencing, you know, not only the initial damage of being misgendered, which is considered something that you can have damages for in the UK, but that she also received like vile responses, probably death threats, you know, transphobic remarks from probably all around the world. And I'm curious if that would change like what kind of damages she would be awarded at the end of the day. We'll see.
What am I going to do about it? Well, I've been to the police and I've reported it as an issue. I contacted Northumbria Constabulary yesterday.
What is that?
So you reported J.K. Rowling
I have reported J.K. Rowling to the police for what she said, which I don't know if that's going to be treated as a hate crime, malicious communications, but it's a cut and dried offence as far as I'm concerned.
So she's not sure that it will definitely be charged as a hate crime, or if it could just be like, essentially, I think, you know, a U.S. equivalent might be like libel or slander, like malicious communications, just being broadly Mm. Oh, the Northumbria is a region in the north of Britain, and then that's the Popo. Okay, so she went to the Popo in the north of England specifically. Cool, 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 cool. Off the back of this, more of the UK legacy media has been more willing to call out JKR. I fucking hope so. I would like to see the tide start to turn on that. It would be cool, but we'll see.
And at the end of the day, it is a hate crime. Trans gender identity is a protected characteristic, just as race is, just as sexuality is. And the equivalent of what J.K. Rowling said, calling a trans person a man, deliberately knowing that that person is a woman, and I am a woman, regardless of what J.K. Rowling says. I've been through everything that's required of me. My birth certificate says female, my passport,
And that's
all
like
my documents.
a rigorous process in the UK. It's not easy to get all of your documents updated there. Like to get your birth certificate updated, you have to get a gender recognition certificate, and you usually have to, I think, have some kind of lower surgery in order to get that. Like, it's like a very difficult process. Or you have to at least have some amount of procedures and medical care done, typically. Cringing at no mask interview at a restaurant. Yeah, of course, yeah. It's like, it's pretty annoying. It's embarrassing, really. I find it really embarrassing, personally.
I am legally recognized as a woman. And for J.K. Rowling to deliberately, and that is the key word, misgender me, knowing who I am, is grossly offensive. It is a hate crime, and it should be treated just as somebody calling a black person the N-word, or an Asian person the P-word, or a...
Okay, that's the end of the section that we get to see. Yeah, I think that it's pretty clear, at least based on recent precedent, that yes, according to the Equality Act, like the Gender Recognition Act, for once, I'm glad that the British put so much emphasis on politeness. Yeah, they are bound by that, and the law would have to change in order for this behavior to not be classified as a hate crime. Like, that, it's really fascinating, and I'm curious to see where this is gonna go from here. Because, wow, holy cow, the consequences of your actions? India is also a more centrist to conservative journalist who is well respected. She has a political advantage here against JKR in all respects. Rowling picked the wrong one this time. Right. That's the thing about the kind of abuse that J.K. Rowling spews, is that she's often directing it toward people who don't have resources, whether that's financial resources, whether that's like the emotional support resources required to help get them through a process of suing someone as big as J.K. Rowling. Rowling's got money to spend. Like, she's got time to kill. And someone like, you also need the support of the media. So if you're a well-respected trans woman who is already accepted in society and in the media, like you work, she works in the media. India is a journalist, broadcaster and journalist, world's first trans news reader, 21st century suffragette,
and she calls
indisputably female, woman of the year nominee 2023. That's her bio on Twitter.
A breach of both the Equalities Act and the Gender Recognition Act.
Frankly, J.K. Rowling, you might have hit the wrong
followers.
hornet's nest this time. Like, you might have whacked the wrong nest. Clip is playing. Oops.
To me on...
Turn off the sound. Sorry about that. But yeah, a little faffo, a little mess around, find out for J.K. Rowling. I think you picked the wrong person this time to mess with. It looped around, didn't it? Was it playing for like the full 2.5 minutes? That's pretty irritating. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. Like, I don't know how the process works with hate crimes in the UK. It was more like 1 minute. Okay, cool. It was not the full time. Yeah, I don't know how this works. You know, it's a hate crime, but it's like hate speech. It's not a violent crime, and I don't know what the penalties are. Is this a jail time thing? Probably not. I'm guessing it's just more of a monetary thing. And I don't think that it's going to take very much to prove the case that it was hate speech. So I guess the only thing to see is what the punishment is going to be. Like, how big is the fine? She wouldn't change her views, but she might change her tune. That's the thing. You know, you can't necessarily get people to change their deeply held inner beliefs about trans people, but you can make them shut up about it in public. Like, this is not acceptable in public. You cannot talk this way about people in public. You cannot be like this toward people. There are consequences. Like, if you say something crappy, people are going to yell at you. Or if you say something illegal, then you are probably going to get legal repercussions on you. The only thing is that if she does end up having to pay that money or whatever it is that the punishment is, she's definitely going to use that to galvanize her supporters to then try to get she's going to manage to try to get the whole Equality Act like repealed, or she's going to have it amended to specifically not have trans people in it. You know, she's got the money and the clout to get the law changed. Oh my gosh. My legs hurt all the time. Make her do community service at a trans club. Maybe. Well, do we have anything else to say about this, what is she, a septuagenarian now? How old is J.K. Rowling? When is she gonna die? She's 58. Alright. I could have swore she was in her 60s. She's not looking too good. It turns out being a hateful bitch is, like, not good for your skin. Yeah. Trying to repeal the Equality Act is a thing that good people do, according to JKR's mind. Well, thank you all for enjoying that little segment with me. You're welcome to hit the like button if you haven't already. Hexagenarian? No, she's, what is 5? Pentagenarian? She's a pentagenarian. She's 58 years old. She'll be 60 in a couple years, I guess. It sucks that she's so young, because it means that she's gonna plague us forever. And also she's an evil witch who runs off of spite, so she's gonna be around forever anyway. I admit I sometimes feel better thinking about how much hatred ages you. Like, listen, I'm getting lines in my face, but at least they're like smile lines, you know what I mean? Oh my god, I'm turning 30. Skincare recommendations, anybody? Any product recommendations for someone with fairly dry skin? I'm dry. I have low blood volume because of my illness. Smile lines at 33, embrace them. Oh yeah. I mean, of course, I'm not like upset about aging. I just do like smooth skin. And, you know, but like product recommendations. I know that I need to moisturize. Like, do I need to invest in some eye cream for this, like, purple under the eye thing that I get? Low blood volume, just drink more blood, dummy. I know. I'm dumb, and I should have thought of that myself. I just need to drink more blood, and then I'll have a higher blood volume. I feel like I should wear my horns more often. I feel like I need a better, like, head thing for them, because like, tying them onto my head or strapping them onto my head is very uncomfortable. I only use eye cream made from ethically sourced eyes. That seems like something that would be in a Rick and Morty episode. I recently watched like seasons 1 through 5 of Rick and Morty. Increase iron intake can help those purple under eye things. Okay. I eat red meat pretty often. Skull studs? What are skull studs? What? Ooh, La Roche-Posay moisturizer and broad spectrum SPF eyewear is de-aging my crusty smoker skin. Okay, let me look it up. La Roche-Posay moisturizer and SPF. I think that, like, I don't go outside every day, so I also need to get, like, a face lotion option that is, not SPF, because SPF is a little bit heavier, and you really should wash it off before bed, and I am not really consistent about washing my face before bed. The posh French stuff? Skull Studs skincare products? Oh! Wait. I don't think this is something I'm going to be able to find easily. You saying Skull Studs did remind me that I have some cool, like, edgy earrings on my Amazon wishlist. Or not Amazon. It's not on Amazon anymore. It's on Throne, and my birthday is this month. Oh, La Roche-Posay is posh. Okay, yeah, no, that makes sense. I just didn't know why you said Skull Studs. That's the part that was confusing to me. I don't like to use CeraVe products because Redditors were saying that their products took a real dive in quality the last few years. I like Cetaphil. Cetaphil is good. Oh, skull studs to attach your horns. Yeah, of course. You know, I don't relish the idea of drilling a hole in my skull. But commitment to the bit. Just attach. Someone I was gonna commission. I should message her and see what is up, because someone I was talking to about making a headset offered to make me some horns for my headset, because they would be lighter than real deer horns. I have the real deer horns now, but yeah, she offered to like make me like clay ones or whatever, so they wouldn't be as heavy. Not clay, but something like that. My Renaissance Festival outfit. Is this a real human person? Did he really do that? It looks like there's scar tissue. Like, did he try it more than once and it didn't work? Transdermal implants. So they're just under the skin. Okay, well, that means that they cannot be very heavy then. If they're only, like, if it's only transdermal. But also they can reject. That's the thing about, like, some transdermals work, but they do sometimes just, like, your body starts pushing them out. Like, that's why, or actually, I don't know. This one's not considered a transdermal implant, the eyebrow one, but it does reject pretty often. But, like, yeah, that's so interesting. I'm just, like, staring at this dude's horns. Do they screw on? Oh man, how do you make sure that it stays still underneath? Or is it just a magnet? I think the magnet thing could make sense. That's so weird. Also, I would never stretch out my ears this far. I don't understand that. I'm done stretching my ears out. I just wanted to have, like, a certain look and like access to different different variety of earrings. They stick on via magnet. Okay. That's doable. Yeah, my horns aren't even in this room for me to show you what they look like. I haven't worn them in forever, and I bet people probably don't remember what they look like. Or there's a lot of new people here who might not know that I'm the dragon. Dragon, dragon, dragon. Jiminy Christmas. We have basically one more actual story today. And, oh yeah, I need to put this J.K. Rowling thing in my notes. J.K. Rowling commits hate crime. Yeah. Yeah, she did. You go, girl. Committing hate crimes. Excuse me. The only guy who looked good with stretched ears was the Buddha. Like, brutally stretched. Just very stretched ears. I use Vaseline lotion with aloe and lipids. Smells amazing and makes my estrogen-laden skin even softer. I'm taking estrogen right now, and I don't feel like it's... I mean, maybe... I don't know. I don't know that it's making my skin softer. So good. It's lemon water, y'all. Lemon water is the best. We got J.K. Rowling. We did it. I have La Roche-Posay open in a tab so that I'll remember to look at it later. Okay, I don't think that there are any other... I think I'm gonna skip the self-immolation thing today. We'll talk about it on, like, Sunday, I think. I've done the Vaseline lotion with aloe and lipids almost 2 years. Nice. Or are you saying you've been on estrogen almost 2 years? I think I've been producing estrogen for, I don't know, I want to say like a year and a half. I don't know. I've kind of been on and off tea the last couple years, so I don't know how long it's actually been. I have a neighbor with really stretched ears, and it looks really stunning, actually, but she also has, like, naturally almost elf-like ears, and it suits her face well. Nice. My ears are a little bit pointy. Not really, but a little bit. Just ever so slightly. A tiny, tiny bit. Buy Palestinian Nabulsi soap if you have dry, awful skin. I mean, it's not awful. I usually use Vanna Cream for my full body lotion. It's my face that... I'm like, do I need to do serums on my face? Like, do I need eye cream for around my eyes? I have psoriasis on my face. What do I do about that? Cool. I'll look into the soap later, too. Oh, we have one last story tonight. I don't think we're gonna make it to the dono goal, y'all. The surprise under my hoodie will remain a surprise. Sucks to suck. You do not get any flexing today. Nope. None for you. But thank you to everybody who did donate. Thank you so much. Alright. Oh, man. No? Are we saying no to the serious story? I want fang veneers. Does that go on, like, all of your teeth? Does it go on the entire thing? Because I've had individual little fangs from, you know, the Halloween store. Would you flex if I said, pretty please? No. I do want to get back into taking pictures for Fansly, though. It's like, I have not been feeling very much like taking pictures, or like getting dressed up very often. And, yeah. I'm hoping that I can kind of shake myself out of that, but it's been like 6 months or something since I posted on my Fansly. And I should probably start posting on there again eventually. And flexing might be part of that. But yeah, just have not been feeling super cute lately. Hey, Anarcho Delphus, thank you for the tier 1 sub. Happy birthday month. I thank you. I appreciate all the donos helping me pay my taxes and pay down my credit cards and buy food. It's all good stuff. It's all going to a good cause. If I ever have any extra money, it's going to go toward saving for moving across the country. So none of it's going to go to waste. Oh boy. I don't know how much energy I'm going to have left in me after this last story, so I'm kind of putting it off a little bit. Because I think after I finish this next segment that I'm going to be too tired. Man, like I woke up at like 5 this morning. I went to bed at like 12 probably. Woke up at 5, couldn't really get back to sleep. So I just kind of slept for 5 hours and that was it last night. It sucked and I have a headache. Pog, indeed, Pog. Thank you, everybody. Okay. Maybe we should just get into it. Personally, I don't think that producing facts and statistics is going to make a huge difference swaying the mind of hardcore Republicans or hardcore transphobes who don't believe in trans rights or who scaremonger about detransition. But it's nice to look at sometimes, just see like, okay, here's what the statistics actually show. And there are reasonable people out there who are receptive to statistics and, you know, peer-reviewed information, and they respect the scientific process. And to them, we can appeal. We can say, look, there is a groundbreaking study out of Australia, out of Perth Children's Hospital, showing that only 1% of patients receiving care detransitioned or desisted with virtually no loss to follow-up. So looking at this, okay, Perth, Australia, this was published in JAMA Pediatrics. They found that 1% of trans youth who were receiving gender-affirming care at a clinic went ahead and re-identified with their sex assigned at birth. Only 1% of all of them. That was in addition to the 4% who re-identified during the mental health assessment period or earlier and did not proceed with receiving gender-affirming care. So there were 4% of people in this study, 4% of trans identifying children who stopped identifying as trans during the mental health assessment process. So the screening process that's supposed to keep people out who shouldn't have done it, like, it's 95% effective in this instance because 4% were correctly screened out in the initial process of screening, and then only 1% got through, received medical care, and then decided to desist from receiving, from like identifying as trans. So it's pretty solid. The study was based on 552 young patients from a time period of 2014 to 2020. They measured re-identification rates in 2022. And let's see. This one is going to significantly influence the debate on gender-affirming care from, according to Aaron, due to the unique methodology, which resulted in virtually no loss to follow-up. The detransition of status of 548 patients was successfully determined. So in previous instances where studies have been done on whether people are detransitioning after they start transition, the one study, the 80% study that everybody points to, had a lot of people just drop out of the study halfway through, but the people who were conducting the study just counted those as desisters, which is like a deeply flawed methodology. And in this instance, not, you know, there were very few people who dropped out of the study, basically. 552 patients were studied, and 548 of them had their status confirmed in the study. It's not like, oh, a bunch of people dropped out and we're gonna just conflate that as part of our data. Like, no. I really want tattoos, but also terrified of permanent commitment. You know, once you get the first one, it's not that big of a deal. Like, I don't know, you can get something small that people can't see that, I don't know, is significant, or maybe you could break the seal by getting something pretty insignificant. Maybe just get a little heart. in a place where no one can see it, or get a little star in a place where no one can see it. If you want tattoos, you know, like once you get your first one, it feels like less of a big deal after that because it's like, okay, well, I've gotten one tattoo. So yeah, this study is going to be the one that we go back to and keep citing over and over again. It's the most compelling study right now on the low detransition rates because they had rigorous follow-up. Let me see. I'm just going to kind of read through this for a second. I'm getting my scars tattoo at the end of the month. Ooh, like are you getting tattooing done over a scar? Or are you having scars tattooed on you? The study examined every patient who attended the clinic from 2014 to 2020. Out of 995 referred patients, 552 had their records closed by 2022. For these closed records, researchers determined the reasons by examining medical databases to ascertain if patients continued to adult care. Okay, so yeah. So it's like you're getting trans-related care at the child place, the Perth Gender Diversity Service for the Youth Gender Clinic in Perth. So if you stop going, if your records are closed, then that's either because you aged out and you are now in the adult system, or because you desisted, or in the case of, there were 4 cases where they were unable to find a reason why the account was closed. So that's a very low loss to follow-up, which refers to the portion of the data set that could not actually be collected when following up with patients who did not respond when contacted. The vast majority of the records were closed because they were transferring to adult services. Only 29 patients re-identified with their sex at birth, and of those, only 2 did so after the mental health assessment and commencement of gender-affirming medical care. So of more than 500 patients, 2 of them started medical care and then decided to stop taking it. 27 of them found out during the screening process that they did not want medical care, and they closed their account there. But like the remaining 500 plus people seemed to just go on to continue medical care into their adulthood. I'm getting a tattoo over my scars that were from a surgery to treat a rare birth defect I had. Well, cool. I'm so glad that you're getting a sweet tattoo, like some sweet art to cover that. That's gonna be good. I'm sure if I ever got fallow, I would probably end up getting a tattoo to cover my forearm eventually. Eventually. Oh gosh. This study does not look at regret. Like, they did not look at the reasons for detransition or desistance. They, you know, could not ascertain whether any of those who returned to an identification with their sex at birth later pursued adult gender-affirming care. It would be unclear. Also, the extent to which family pressure influenced the decision to re-identify with sex assigned at birth is uncertain, because they were just looking at the accounts closing. Like, they basically just looked at, okay, all the patients at this one gender clinic, okay, those who closed their records, let's look at the reasons why they were closed. That's what the study is. Like, they don't have a lot of extra detail. It's just like, why did this person stop seeking care at this clinic? Overwhelming majority just aged out and started getting healthcare at the adult clinic. Anyway, it's good to have such compelling evidence, like really well done research showing that in, a country around the world is doing the same thing. Look, an English speaking country with ostensibly a lot of Christian people who live there, because like that's kind of a feature of a lot of people, like places with a lot of white people in them. Uh and look, like they don't, I don't know, are you going to try to claim that this is a global like contagion, that transgenderism is a global like cultural thing? I don't know. But these kids are getting the medical care and they're doing well, and then they're staying on the medical care. They're persistent. They stick with it. So whether you believe, oh, people can't actually change their sex, like I don't think that any of us really care at the end of the day. Our experience of our sex and our bodies is dramatically different. So if you want to keep asserting something that you have never personally experienced, that's fine. But like at the end of the day, it doesn't matter whether you want to objectively call us male or female or whatever. You know, I mean, it matters in the sense that you're trying to restrict our rights based on that definition. But ultimately, at the end of the day, we're just gonna do our thing. And the medication helps. Like going on hormones helps. It just makes our brains feel better. Lots of people start hormones and they're just like, wow, I suddenly don't feel like kind of dissociated all the time. I had this vague feeling of crappiness and now I don't have it. And then as the changes start to happen, the physical changes, like growing a beard or growing boobs or whatever, that is like an extra bonus benefit that we get to celebrate. But mostly it's just that feeling of oneness in your body. The medication works. By and large, overwhelmingly, the medication works. We've tried to do psychotherapy. That was the first thing that modern medicine tried to do, was to analyze this as a psychological phenomenon. And you can give people tools to deal with distress, but why would you do that if you can just give them something that resolves the distress? You know what I mean? And then trans people start going to therapy. Instead of dealing with our dysphoria, we go to deal with all of the crappy ways that people treat us because of our trans status. They literally claim that there's a global conspiracy among every major medical organization and research journal to push transgenderism. Yes, well, you see, they have a, I don't know, whatever. I'm not even going to pretend to say something right-wing right now. I don't have the energy to be funny. We had a meeting. I got a scorpion on my hand. Ooh, that's a fun tattoo. I don't think I've ever considered getting a bug tattooed on me. Yes, scorpions are bugs. Fight me. If shrimps is bugs, then fucking scorpions is bugs. Actually, scorpions are arachnids, so that's whatever. But anyway. Without testosterone, I always felt uncomfortable and unsure in my environment. I felt alien in my own mind and ability to fill my role in society. Now I'm just a happy-ish doomed twink, and it's okay. There you go. Yes, I know. If you ever drill down on what they mean by they, the newbie turfs don't know and the veterans know. Yeah, it's the Jewish people. That's the conspiracy, is that transgenderism is a Jewish conspiracy by George Soros or whatever. You want a tattoo of a big-ass centipede? Nice. I am not a centipede lover, but I will not harsh your buzz. Get a mosquito tattooed on your butt in order to get spanked all the time. Listen, that's not a bad... It's not a bad move. It's not a bad method. Okay, let me just make sure there's nothing else in here. Ba 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 bum. Yeah, I guess there's not a lot else for me to add. Just, this is in line with all of the other information we've seen. Because I think one of those strongest things about this particular study is that they got to look at this follow-up, that there were very few cases where they didn't know the reason. Because another thing that these gender criticals and TERFs will claim is that the very high, excuse me, like they'll claim that the very high success rate of transition is a false number because the people who regret it are too ashamed and too upset to actually go in and report their regret. Like, so there's this idea that the information is skewed. But look at this, we only have 4 cases out of almost 550 that we could not confirm why they closed the account. Most of them went on to go to the adult health care. At least in the time that they were at that clinic, they were consistent and persistent with their genders, which is true for most people who have gender dysphoria. Oh my god, everything hurts. Okay. So yeah, here we go. Just proof that, overwhelmingly, it's not because people are dropping out of the studies. It's not because people are too ashamed to say that they regret. People just don't have that much regret with these medical procedures. They just don't. I don't care what the biological definition of bug is. It's a colloquial definition. Oh, yeah. This is just more proof on a massive pile of existing proof. But I'm just saying, with other studies that don't necessarily have the definitive follow-up, other studies, people will drop out because of health reasons, because they had to move, because they started school, because they started a new job and they can't get time off to come back to the study. Like, people die, there's lots of reasons. And so I think other studies in the past have perhaps not had that component of knowing for sure the reason why the person desisted, or like having access to and like knowing for sure at the end of the whole thing, because they're not relying on contacting the patients, since they're just looking at the existing medical records of closed accounts. So yeah, we'll see if this makes any difference, that this study happens to be so much more ironclad than other ones in the past. You can't claim that people are just too embarrassed to say that they regretted it. I'm thinking of getting stripes on my forearms. I don't know. I really think that I'm gonna end up having a lot of tattoos. But it's like, I do want to give thought and consideration to each one. So it's like, okay, easy. I can get the homunculus tattoo and I don't have to think about it that much. I know where it's supposed to go. I know what it's supposed to be of. The only thing that I really need to figure out is I want to talk to the artist about what color they recommend to make sure that it stays color fast. Yeah. Like, I want a mushroom tattoo of some kind of. I want a tattoo on my rib cage. I don't know what it is yet, though. And then, like, I'm starting to feel like, now that I'm like, ooh, look at how big my arms are. I'm like, what if I had arm tattoos that were more artistic? I like people who have sleeves. That's pretty cool. I also did briefly consider getting the right arm tattoo that Link has, but then you'd have to black out at the end. So I was thinking maybe you could just cuff it right here. Like it's like the design is up on the top of the arm and then it becomes all black into the hand, which then has jewelry on it or whatever. But you could put a band like just below the elbow and black it out there, and then have the rest of the upper arm have the cool design on it. But I think that that's a little bit silly. That's a little bit too silly. I've always wanted a dragon and yin yang tattoo. I used to want a dragon tattoo. I wanted a very specific dragon tattoo, and then I decided I was not going to get that tattoo. So it's good that I think about things for a long time. I guess I wouldn't regret it if I had it. I'm just like, now that I don't have it years later, I don't still want to get it actively. But like, I have a tattoo on my back that's like a gender symbol that I don't really feel represents my feelings about my gender anymore. And I'm like, I guess another thing on the list is getting that either covered up or edited. Like, I might just have someone add to it to make it like a different kind of gender symbol. I don't know. Tattoos are a fun thing, though. Tattoos are fun to think about and talk about. My only regret is I didn't realize / accept I was trans until I was 25, less than a year ago. Listen, Lady Merlin, first of all, congratulations. Can we get some hypers in chat for Lady Merlin for coming out as trans within the last year? That's a fucking hard thing to do. It's a hard thing to do right now. When you're 25, that's still a really good age to transition at, you know? You're avoiding a lot of the things about growing older in your assigned sex body. So, you know, it's like the perfect time. If you weren't able to do it when you were a teenager, then doing it when you're in your 20s is like perfect. Yeah, we got hypers in chat. Hypers. I do kind of also want an Avatar The Last Airbender related tattoo. I was thinking of getting like, you know, the Banyan Grove tree. I was thinking about getting that, but in a rounded style, like a world tree. I don't know where that one's gonna go though. It's like it makes sense for it to be in a center point on my body, but I don't think I want that tattoo in the center of my back. I think that tattoo is more of like a leg tattoo. I don't know. I'm trying to figure it out. The perfect time is always the current moment, I feel. Yeah, absolutely. I was just trying to make Lady Merlin feel better because she was feeling regretful about how late she came out. And it's like, 25 is not late. You're still a baby. Like, I'm only like turning 30 this month. I'm only 5 years older than you, but like, you're still a baby when you're 25. As far as transition age goes, you're fine. The oldest tattoos we know of, they're simple black lines that may have been acupuncture / medical. I thought that some of the oldest tattoo traditions had to do with like the Polynesian people tattooing their hands so that they can navigate the sky. But I don't know if we actually have physical evidence for that or if that's just we have like an oral tradition evidence of that. Good night, Misfit. Didn't get my first tattoo until I was 42. Yeah, there are some people who are like, I'm willy-nilly about it, and I just kind of get tattoos when they're on, like, oh, I go to the Friday the 13th flash sale, and I just get whatever tattoo the guy is doing. And I'm like, I'm personally not usually the kind of person who's wanting to do that. I did really seriously look at the Friday the 13th offerings of a tattoo parlor recently, but I decided that none of those particular pieces spoke to me. Oh gosh. I don't think I have anything left today. At least I don't have any serious topics left for the day. We can chat for a little while longer, but I am getting tired. There was this dude found in ice with tattoos. He's said to have a curse. He was from one of the Nordic countries, I think maybe Sweden. I know we definitely, like, you know, what is the, hold on. Oldest intact tattoo. There's like, some skin is preserved that has tattoos on it. Like, mummy with tattoo of Archangel Michael. Chiribaye mummies with hand tattoos. Princess of Ukok. Deer-style animal and scroll tattoos. Yeah, this is the one that I was thinking of. This is a cool deer. Like, I don't know you can really see it. Like, probably not very well, at least. Like, that's as big as it'll get right now. But this is like, it's a deer. It's got like antlers with flowers on the tips of the antlers. Anyway, tattoos on ancient people, mummified. Very cool. Nifty. Whoa, nifty. We've been doing crazy shit like this since we've been humans, basically. Since we developed the technology to do something like tattoos. Alright, y'all. I know it's a little early, but I was hungover today and I'm tired, so I'm gonna wrap it up for now. I've got video content ready to put out on the channel. I've got gorgeous hair that's actually shinier than I think it is in this light. And I will be planning to see you all on Sunday as per usual. So thank you. Love ya, parasocially. And go make friends in the Discord server. Join the Discord server and talk to your friends in stream, outside of stream time. Make connections out there. Be part of your community.